Are we live? I think we are live. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new live stream, and no. Christie is doing another town hall. Well, you know what time it is, your favorite time of year. See me suffering while reacting to a Christie town hall. And before we continue today's stream, I hope you enjoy these type of streams. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Guys, just for $1 a month, you can help support the daily content we all know and love. So I hope and recommend you join the channel today. And of course, if you want to support these streams, want to see me suffer more, super chats are the best way to do it. I appreciate all the support, of course. That is the best way to get your question, comment, or concern answered, is through a super chat. It supports the channel. But of course, if you do got questions here and there, I'll try to answer all the questions in the chat. But this is a town hall, so we theoretically gotta watch it. We got a super chat already. Riley the Mini Deutschen for 5. On your video about redistricting, I actually beat you on commenting first. Not sure if you saw that. I saw that. Am I the first to ever do it? No, but it's been a while. But yeah, you beat me to the punch on that. That was freaking stupid. But congratulations. Free content is here once more. I just... I don't want to watch this, but it's free content. I would rather go see Oppenheimer right now. Whatever, it's fine. Okay. Rockefeller Republican Christie, yep. We got the counters up again. Oh my gosh, it's in... Why is he in South Carolina? I want to know why. I want to know the reason for South Carolina. I really didn't want to watch this crap today, but no, Christie had to freaking do a town hall. I'm already in pain, I know. I'm not watching Barbie, no. I'm refusing to. It just, I'm not... I heard some things about it. Let's just not get into it. About Barbie. What person in South Carolina would support him? Lol. I don't know. I don't know why he stumbled his way through. To properly live stream this, you need a wide angle lens. New Hampshire is one thing. Yeah, I mean, at least in New Hampshire, you can make the argument he got like 10% last time. He's popular enough in the Northeast. But South Carolina, when it's winner take all? Dixie Patriot Chris Christie. Gosh, it's 5 p.m. Where is this clown at? Gosh, he better... If he starts a thing off with his freaking 30-minute history lesson... No. That's what's going to happen, isn't he? He's going to talk for 30 minutes about history. And then he's going to keep talking about smaller and bigger. And he's going to have his hand in his pocket. And like all the way down. So everybody gets to see me suffer. Why, let's see. Bigger. Yeah, if he starts off with the freaking history lesson again. Why even start with that? I don't get it. Does he seriously believe people give a shit what he thinks? Yes, I want to see the political advice of Chris Christie. I just got off from work and home and I see the stream and I'm so happy to see you stream, not happy to see Big Christie. Yeah, well, you're going to be happy to see me suffer through this. He's probably at Burger King. Okay, this will be big. Oh, jeez. Did you see the poll with Vivek in second? Yeah, I mean, I saw it, but I don't know how much I believe it. Either way, it's showing that DeSantis is not a good situation. I mean, you had a Michigan poll where he's down 15. Not just the primary, but the general. So it's like, not good. Yeah, it's 6 p.m. Or, yeah, 6 p.m. Where is this guy? Where are you? Don't make me sit here and suffer. Are you gonna see the new Haunted Mansion movie? What? Cornel West is a MAGA patriot. True. Absolutely true, because he's gonna siphon off votes from Democrats. He's doing these town halls because he knows you're watching. Yeah, we probably get more viewers than he gets, which is just sad, but you know, it's whatever. It's free content. Those Burger King lines are crazy. What? Let's see. Bro had to stop at Jack in the Box to get his 15 Jumbo Jacks. Yeah, it reminds me of the Jack in the Box commercials, like 20 years ago, where he, like, breaks into somebody's house and, like, forces him to eat a sandwich. I can just imagine that was Christie. Let's see. The same poll that had Ron DeSantis winning gets Biden also had Daniel Cameron losing big to Andy Beshear. We need Scott Presser to go Kentucky ASAP. Yeah, we need more effort in Kentucky. PK for 2. Why are we only doing good in Connecticut special elections? Because the Connecticut GOP is still a bit more of what it was 10 years ago. You know, like, some states, they have, like, the coalitions are not, you know, the same in every state. Like, Connecticut, it still has a more educated Republican base, or college educated. You know, that's the big difference. I mean, a state like Connecticut, the Republicans still have some college whites, and they turn out at higher rates. That's just true. So that's why I think it is. It's like northeastern states, we do better in special elections. But when you go to Nebraska, you almost lose Nebraska first. So, Christie rally really be like, please clap, and what is Aleppo? No, it's going to be just big and small. Connecticut GOP got close to many elections, yeah. They're always close, but never close enough. That's the definition of the Connecticut GOP. They're always right there. They can feel it. They can, like, feel the sensation of victory, but it just, at the last second, they just can't get over the hump. Which movies you plan on watching? Mission Impossible and Oppenheimer. I've not seen Barbie. Let's see. Trump should drop out and endorse Christie. No, he shouldn't. If at that point, I'm just not going to vote. I don't know, the DeSantis Eternal probably hates Cameron since DeSantis endorsed her and said. And the funny thing is, the same pollster, okay, what apparently happened was that poll was not supposed to go public. That was from a month ago, and they released a new one today. He's only down by 4. So it was from last month. How many people do you think will be there? 5. There's going to be like 10 people, and they were like promised free food. But they realized they're the food for Christie. Chris Christie's the only person who could beat Biden in DC. So true. Oppenheimer was great. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I'm still not really shocked about Barbie, what that's turned into. Like, they marketed it perfectly. They didn't mention any woke stuff. It's one of the most woke movies apparently out there. What's better, Popeyes, KFC, or... I've never really been... Like, KFC I've been to a couple of times. Never really went to Popeyes before. I think Red Lion is being forced to watch Barbie. Oof. Why are recent polls having Michigan closer for Trump than Wisconsin? I immediately disregard any such poll. I don't know. Like, it just makes no sense that, oh yeah, Michigan's a D+1 state, Wisconsin's D+8. Princess Ryder for 2. Cameron could win, but it's going to be 2 to 3 points either way. I actually agree with this. I think Cameron can win. I don't think he's focusing on the right stuff. Once again, it's these freaking... Oh, we need to focus on tax cuts. It's like, no. Focus on education and guns. And these people that say Cameron is too MAGA for Kentucky, are you a freaking stooge? Kentucky is one of the most conservative states in the country. And you're telling me he's too MAGA for it? Are people watching Barbie for the memes or because they want to? I think for the memes. I don't think they understand what they're getting themselves into. I was probably going to go see it, but then I heard what was in it. So yeah, they hit it well. I'll give Warner Brothers that. They hit it perfectly. Christie for CEO of McDonald's. Yeah. Okay, where's this guy at? Where? It said 6 p.m. And that was Eastern. Kentucky's the definition of MAGA. Yeah, it's fairly conservative. Let's see. Is Daniel Cameron going to lose like Schmidt? Like, the difference is Bashir's like actually popular. And there's no reason to lose this one. Let's see. Christie for president. I can't believe people actually support him. Spent Sports Network for 2. Thoughts on Megan Rapinoe? Who? Who is that? I gotta look this up. I don't know who this is. Oh, the soccer person? Yeah, I don't like her. It's that she's part of like the National Women's Soccer League. Like 5 people watch it. So every move ever made was woke. Nah. Oppenheimer is, and I know Posobiec is trying to say it is Posobiec, but it's like when you read into what Oppenheimer is, like they make it where half the scenes they know for a fact is true. The other half it's up to interpretation. So Cameron chose his running mate. You hear? Yeah, I heard that he chose his running mate. Some random state senator. Any update on the Louisiana governor election? Again, I haven't really looked at it. What's woke about Barbie? So they didn't say anything about this, but they have a transgender. Alright, this is what I know. A transgender named Dr. Barbie, whatever the frick the person's name is. And they also have parts of essentially pro-abortion stuff. They pretty much, worship abortion. They have a bunch of like young girls. They like smash, dolls and stuff. And they said, "We will never be mothers." It's like, what? That's what I'm saying. Like, nobody wants to see that crap, but they're pushing it still. I don't get why. Why push that? Nobody wants to see that. Princess Rider for 10, thank you. Wanted to also say, isn't it a little funny that as the January 6th indictment comes down, suddenly you see polls showing Trump falling and losing to Biden? Almost as if it's all coordinated. Yeah, but when you still look at like the polls individually, there's been no shift. And this is the thing people need to understand. Of this year, of the polling, like when you look individually, there's been no shift. Even in fact, there's some polls that actually showed Trump getting better. But yeah, thanks to the $10 super chat. Godsmack AR69, nice, for 5. Happy Krispy Kreme Day, cheers. By the way, you're planning on streaming for Ramaswamy event. He seems pretty based on nuclear energy, from what I've seen. Yeah, if he goes on like a town hall, like a national one, I'll watch it. But I have to watch these Christie ones for the memes. It's the only reason we're watching this. So Oppenheimer beats Barbie. That's what I've heard. Yeah, the movie would flop if it didn't have the Barbie name to it. I don't think it's gonna have good legs. Like the box office, it's gonna have like a really good opening weekend, but just crash after. Because people are gonna realize what it actually is. Have you been watching the Women's World Cup? Who watches that? I'm sorry, it's like, I don't really care. I'm sorry, like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be the same thing. I say this for all soccer events, but it's like, women's soccer, that's like, no. Because we all know it's gonna be freaking Team USA's probably gonna win. It's like, I don't care. I'm not the biggest fan of soccer, but it's like, why watch that? I would much rather watch, the Milwaukee Brewers or the Bucks or something. Zeppelin LZ99 for 2. Hey, Rap, what's that Arizona video you said you make? Where's that? Oh, yeah, so I'm working on, and I just got a little bit caught up on some stuff, but I'm working on an Arizona video describing what the future holds for that state. And also, I forgot to mention, if you are a member, the membership video I forgot to post earlier. I'm sorry about that, but it will be posted tonight. I'm very sorry about that. I heard Barbie was rated PG-13. Yes, it is. Hey, Rap, did you see that the new polls showing Trump losing to Biden have crazy samples like D+7 or D+5? And here's the thing. When you compare the same polls from 2020, they show like a 7-8 point shift. These D+7 sample polls, they had Trump losing by 15 back in 2020. They have him losing 5 now. It's like, okay, that may not be the exact result, but they're showing he's doing far better in the polling than ever. What happened to your video about the Biden family? So, I got some stuff about, like, claims and stuff about the video I'm working on trying to get that resolved. There's YouTube, like, they sent me a warning and stuff. I don't freaking know. It's probably be back up tonight. There's just some parts I don't know. But yeah, I got, like, demonetized. I'm trying to get that out and fixed. So, it should be up soon. That's why. Let's see. Hey, Rap, do you think that Warner Brothers is trying to get back in Christopher Nolan by releasing one of their movies a day as his movie? Yeah, I think so, but it's going to backfire. It's like, that was the dumbest thing ever, to get rid of Christopher Nolan. Where's Christie? I don't freaking know. This guy was supposed to show up by now. Where's the town hall? Hey, listen, I don't know. I think he just forgot. He got like caught up in McDonald's. That's what happened. Real. So many fake polls. Yeah. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying that the same polls show Trump doing better than he did in 2020. So they released a movie there just to be petty Nolan. That's what it sounds like. I heard people are mad at Oppenheimer because it doesn't show women as powerful. Yeah, I heard that. And like Pasabik's trying to say it's woke. It's like, no. It's a freaking true story. It's not just, oh, it's pro-communist. It's like, no. It's just trying to tell a freaking story, my guy. Thoughts Trump saying he'll execute child traffickers. I saw that. That's the type of things the death penalty should be used for. If you harm a child, nope. No excuse. I'm excited to see Oppenheimer, like how I was excited to see the Batman. I hope that Oppenheimer's as good as it. Yeah, I heard it's pretty good. What movie do you think will be the biggest of the year? So Mario is Mario still number 1? I think it stays Mario. I don't think Barbie's gonna have a good box office, and well, good opening weekend or great opening weekend, but I think it's a good crater when people figure it out. We just gotta see what the audience score is, because if it's crap, there's no way it's lasting. Okay, where is this guy? What the heck is that? What the? Bro, what is this? Oh, now it's starting. Did they just start the music? I'm muting this. I don't want to get copyright. I probably just got freaking copyrighted because of that. Really? What the f? Oh, if I got oh my gosh, Chris, if you just copyrighted me. Oh my gosh, did he just freaking give me copyright? Okay, no, thank goodness. Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Christie.
Look at this event. Oh my god. Muting this so I don't get copyrighted. Jesus. Look at this. Holy crap. He just pulled up. Oh my god, bruh. Oh my gosh. There's like 10 people. Okay, there's like 50 people here. And how much should I bet this is like a GOP meeting? So it's like they were already gonna have 50 people here, but they just let Christie show up. I can't. Bruh. The ground's shaking. Bruh, jeez. Damn it, he's not wearing the coat, so he's not gonna put his hand in his pocket for half an hour.
Please, be seated. Thanks for coming.
Oh my
I'm glad
god.
it's gonna be a nice cool day down here in South Carolina. It's
yeah,
good.
we're cringe
We left New
immediately.
Jersey, it was 88 degrees. And I said, heck, man, that's not hot enough. Let's get to Columbia. So thank you all for having me. We appreciate it very much. It's good to be back in South Carolina. I'm coming here.
Somebody's already falling asleep.
Since 2010. I was elected governor of New Jersey back in 2009. 2010, I came down here and campaigned for Nikki Haley when she was running for governor the first time. Came back down here in 2012 to campaign for Mitt Romney when he was running for president. Came back here as the chairman of the Republican Governors Association in 2014 and campaigned again for Governor Haley.
He has his hand in his
Came
pocket.
back here in 2016 and campaigned for Donald Trump when he was running for president in 2016. And then came back again in 2018 to campaign for my old friend Henry McMaster. And when I say old friend, it's not that I'm calling Henry old. He would be very offended.
Why is it
by
so
that.
quiet?
But we are longtime friends because when Henry was the Attorney General here in South Carolina,
I'm
I was
completely
the United
100%.
States Attorney in New Jersey, and we did a joint investigation together. And I remember when Henry called me because his office was investigating the same fraudster that my office was. And this fraudster was ripping off people in both South Carolina and New Jersey. And so we were both independently investigating it. And you all, knowing Governor McMaster so well, will know this story is true. He called, and my secretary came in.
Oh
and
God,
said,
the history lesson's begun.
South Carolina's on the phone, so I got on, and Henry got on the phone, and he introduced himself, and then he said, we gave him the guy who we were investigating. He said, "You familiar with it?" I said, "I am."
Jesus,
said,
this is awful.
Got a question for you. He said, "We gonna fight with each other, or are we gonna work together?" He said, "Because if we work together," he said, "we're gonna be able to put this boy away for a long time." And I said, "Let's work together, Henry," and we did.
Bro, the
And we
mic
put him
is
away
like
in
halfway
federal
down his
prison for a very
chest.
long time with a lot of help from the Attorney General of South Carolina. So I've been down here a lot over the last now almost 10 years, and it's good to be back. When I was here in 15 and 16,
the history lesson.
A small field of 17 people running for president of the United States, and it's always interesting to see how the world changes. And I stopped over at the Palmetto Club a little while ago to see a group of folks from the county Republican organization.
Please.
And one woman
That's
comes to
his
me and asked me,
neck.
she said, "Why are you in this race?" I thought, that's a fair question. Why am I in this race? So I figured that's where
Because you want to get money. You want to get paid.
If you asked me a year ago if I was going to be in this race, I probably would have told you no. We have my wife, Mary Patsy. Why don't you stand up, Mary Patsy, so everybody gets to see you. My wife
Not the
with me
history
tonight.
lesson. Stop it. Get on the phone.
Yes, yes. And she, just so
He
you
said
know,
small.
you come up to her later and you detect
I heard that.
certain toughness. That has nothing to do with New Jersey. That has to do with the fact that she is number 9 of 10 children. So she's been fighting with 6 older brothers since the day she was born and 2 older sisters. And I'm glad that she's traveling with me. We have 4 children between the ages of 20 and 30. And so
Welcome
when
to
I ran
history
president
class
last
with
time,
Christie.
a number of those children were still at home. And she couldn't travel with me nearly as much as she wanted to. But this time, there's really nothing left back there for her. So she's got to travel with me now. So I'm glad that she's with me. But when we started to look together as a couple, because you can't do this as one person.
I mean, you
If
could.
you're married and you decide you want to run for president, it is a team effort. And if both members of the team are not with it, it's not impossible, but it's pretty hard. And as we started to look
History
at this
can
race,
be cringe when it's
we
taught by
became very,
Christie.
very concerned. Because both of us feel that Joe Biden
I can't turn the
has
volume
let
up
this
anymore.
country down
This is the highest it can go.
in just about every way you could think of. He ran for president in 2020 saying that he was going to bring the country together, that he was going to be a moderate leader for the country, and try to bring the two extremes of both parties into a place where they could work together. And a lot of people, not me, but a lot of people voted for him based on that idea. And he came into office and he ran as far to the left as he could.
What does that dude do in the back?
Placating the far left
like
of his
pointing
own
at
party.
somebody.
Spending enormous amounts of money and creating the worst inflation that we've had in this country because of his government spending since the 1970s. Shouldn't be surprised about that, though, by the way, because when you ask Joe Biden who his favorite president is of his lifetime, he says Jimmy Carter. That's not a joke, that's true.
Bruh.
So we should have known when he said that this was not going to be a movie that ended well for us. Runaway inflation.
He's getting paid
stripped
something.
away our energy independence.
He's getting paid food.
And made us once
Free
again dependent
food.
upon Middle East energy and South American energy.
South of...
He had that awful withdrawal from
Venezuela.
Afghanistan, which shamed our effort there and caused the loss of life of a number of young men and women in our military that did not deserve that.
Socialism.
And he has led us to a place in the world where we are no longer feared and respected. You know, when you sit down for a meeting with a fellow head of state in the Oval Office of the White House, as he did just a day or two ago with the President of Israel, and you fall asleep in the middle of the meeting. I'm sorry, everybody. That means you're past your sell-by date. Okay? It means
I'll
it's
give him that's
time
pretty good.
to go. If you can't stay awake in your own office in the middle of the afternoon when you're talking to the President of Israel, it's probably time to go back to Wilmington.
Okay, that's
So,
actually not that bad.
First motivation for getting into this race was we have to get rid of Joe Biden. And by the way, I want to be clear that I pray every night for Joe Biden's good health. Not only because he's our president, but because of who our vice president is.
That's actually...
Because let me tell you, everybody, you think this is bad. Can't even imagine what that show would look like. That's reason number one. Reason number two is, I thought by this time, given everything that's happened, that the Republican Party would realize that
Don't say
races that look backwards are not winning races.
Oh, go away.
Candidates who look backwards are not winning candidates, and they're not leaders.
But you're looking
I will
back.
tell you this, I am tired of hearing about the 2020 election.
I'm not actually against... Okay, I'll give him that. I'm not against that.
And by the way, you know, I'm from New Jersey. If you want to talk about voter fraud, okay?
Oh, hey.
We take a back seat only to Illinois.
Oh, so now he admits
In fact, one of my predecessors, Governor Brendan Byrne, who has since just passed away, he used to say that he made his wife promise that when he died, that she would bury him in Jersey City, New Jersey, so that he could remain active in politics.
Bruh.
So I'm not naive, everybody. I know that there's always a little bit of monkey business that goes on in every election.
Okay, this is actually a weird
But
W.
not enough to change the result of an election in 6 states.
And you just lost
So let's start there. It didn't happen. It didn't happen.
Well, lost all the momentum.
Joe Biden's sleeping in the White House tonight, and it's our fault. Okay, it's our fault. And by us, I mean Republicans who allowed President Trump to do the things that he did.
What?
And empowered him. And we've been empowering him ever since he left the White House. And he's been taking advantage of us as a result.
He was
Now,
so
the most
close.
egregious one
to
I just heard
perfection.
today. Now, I remember, because I was in that 16 race, that one of the things Donald Trump said on that stage, among many things that he said in that stage, was, I'm a billionaire. I'm the richest guy on this stage. I don't need anybody else's money.
Base Trump.
And nobody can buy me or own me, unlike these other guys who are all out there asking for money. I'm going to be just for you.
He was.
Okay. So then how do you explain this? His FEC reports have come out. 50 cents of every dollar that's being donated to his presidential campaign is going to pay his personal legal fees.
Because related to the election.
50 cents of every dollar.
Oh, shut up.
$17 million so far.
And then half of DeSantis' money goes to payroll.
If you're a billionaire, I know how to count to a billion.
Can you?
17 million. I mean, I'm a lawyer, so I'm not great at it. But 17 million is less than a billion. And you get yourself in all this legal trouble.
No, he did it,
Pay your own legal fees. Instead, he's
every
taking
candidate
10,
does that.
$25, $50 from middle-class Americans across this country who believe in him and want him to use that
They're
money
supporting
to
him.
get reelected
That's
president
why
of the
they
United States.
donated, you
And he's
freaking
taking
buffoon.
it. And he's putting it in
my
his own
God,
pocket
bro.
to pay his lawyers. It is disgraceful. It's beneath the office he asks for, and that alone
Why?
should
What does that
disqualify
do
him
with
from being
anything?
our nominee in 2024.
Bro. And people are clapping at this?
But that's not all. The whole damn family's on the grift. Okay? His daughter and her husband. Again, Jared Kushner, the son of a multi-billionaire from my home state. He gets sent to the Middle East to negotiate on behalf of our country. I guess the president sent him because he's such an expert
He got us to
on the Middle East, having
got us
been
peace
a real
deals.
estate developer in New Jersey developing garden apartments. I'm
He
sure that's why he
developed
sent
peace
him.
treaties in Middle East.
I'll tell you why he sent him. We didn't see it till 6 months after.
Oh, don't know.
6 months
He's making
after
stuff
Donald
up
Trump
now.
leaves office, Jared Kushner gets on a plane and goes to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and he comes home with $2 billion of Saudi money to seed his investment fund.
That's bad, but it
Of
had
which he
nothing
will
to do
get a
with it.
percentage of that money every year
Saudi
for the rest
Arabia
of
was
his
not
life,
involved in those
whether he
talks.
makes a
That was like
nickel
Sudan
for the
and like
Saudis
Israel.
or not. If anyone else in this country had first hired their daughter and son-in-law into the White House and then set them up to get $2 billion of money from the Saudis,
But that's not what happened. I agree. Kushner sucks,
be
but
outrage.
this is wrong. He's just making up stuff.
but somehow with
making
Donald
stuff
Trump,
up
he's
now.
skating past that. We can't let it, because let me tell you, we put him back there, the same thing's going to happen. The exact same thing's going to happen.
What?
Lastly, I run into people all the time who say, all right, I get it. He lies. He's selfish.
Okay.
But I like his policies.
Yes.
So I'm going to vote for him because I like his policies. All right. I like a lot of the policies he pursued too. And I want to remind all of you, I was the first person to endorse him when I dropped out of the race in 2016.
That's bullshit.
The first governor in this country to endorse him.
Bullshit.
The first former candidate to endorse him.
That's probably
I
right.
chaired his transition to the White House. I chaired his opioid and drug abuse commission.
For like 5 seconds.
This one will keep you up tonight. You especially. I want you to think about this now. I played Hillary Clinton in debate prep. Me. Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, because you used to be a good
Took me
debater.
a while. All I had to, there's a number of things I had to learn, but I won't go into that.
What?
I played Joe Biden in debate prep in 2020 for Donald Trump. I had to take a few sedatives before I did, but I worked it out. My point to you is, I'm not coming down here in South Carolina as some never Trumper.
Yes, you are.
I worked hard to get him elected in 2016.
You did absolutely nothing.
I worked hard every day to make him the best president he possibly could be for all of us and supported a lot of his policies. But he failed us. He failed us. He
You're
said he was
fake
going to
news.
repeal and replace Obamacare. And with a Republican Congress, he didn't get it done.
Because freaking Ron
remember
Paul,
this
or
one?
Rand Paul, or
He was going to build a big, beautiful wall across the entire border of Mexico.
It was almost
and
finished. He needed 6 more months.
Mexico was going to pay for it.
They did.
Well, let me tell you what happened after 4 years. And you can go on the Department of Homeland Security website and see it for yourself.
Yeah, let me bring that up.
4 years, he built 52 miles of new wall.
And he replaced all the crap
miles.
ones beforehand.
And by the way, we're
lying.
still waiting for the first peso from Mexico
They
to
did
pay
help
for
pay
that.
for it through tariffs and
Not
stuff.
a nickel from Mexico to pay for it. If you're trying to do the math in your head, I did this before, building the wall at that pace, he would have to be president for another 110 years to get the entire wall done. He failed us. He said, I will balance the budget in 4 years because I'm a businessman and I know how to balance budgets. And you know what he did? He added $6 trillion to the national debt in 4 years. Shocking. But it shouldn't be.
Hold on, I gotta find
Because this is the guy who, in my home state, sent his 3 casinos bankrupt 3 times.
Not true.
Now let me ask you a question. Who can't make money with a casino?
A lot
I
of
mean,
people.
how damn stupid do you have to be to not be able to make money in a casino? They always win. How many of you have ever come out of casino saying like, man, 5th time in a row I've won? I never have.
I got the map right here.
6 trillion. One other quick story. When I was governor of New
you
Jersey,
keep talking. Look at this.
I inherited an $11 billion deficit on a $29 billion budget
This was the map of
in
the wall.
2010. And we balanced
see, a
that budget
couple of
without
months, it was
raising
done.
taxes. We cut 836 individual programs out. to
That one
balance
lady's
that
his
budget.
wife, I think.
The reason I bring it up is because when that was going on, there was a lot of publicity about it. Democrats wanted me to raise taxes. I said no. And a friend of mine called me with an idea, Donald Trump. He called me from New York and he said, Chris, I see this big budget problem you have. I got an idea for you. I said, what's that? He goes, go bankrupt.
Genius.
I said, no, Donald. States are not allowed by law to go bankrupt.
Okay.
We can't go bankrupt. He goes, no, look, just do it.
Yes.
He said, it'll be 3 years before it gets through the courts and everybody will think you're a hero.
Yes.
We shouldn't be surprised.
Bro, you keep
trillion to
looking
the
at the
national
past. Let
So
me
on
mute
the
this guy
issues that
for a
you-
second. Like, oh my gosh, he looks the past so much. Meanwhile, he talks for the past nonstop. Christie does.
I know he's broken the law. I know he's grifting for himself and for his family.
Yeah, you.
But I like his policies. I'd ask you a question. Why the hell would you hire him to implement those policies? He's proven he can't do it. Now,
Because he had a rhino
our
Congress.
country now is in a circumstance
And
much
John
like I think
McCain's
we were
removal.
in the late 70s. For those of us who are old enough in this room to remember the late 70s, when Joe Biden's favorite president was president. Energy crisis, runaway
I hate
inflation,
I hate hearing about 2020.
People worried about
Anyway,
jobs.
back in 2009.
the Soviets invading Afghanistan, boycotting the Olympics, hostages in Iran, and a president who said it was our fault, that we were under a malaise, and that it was our fault that America wasn't great. What did we do when confronted with that? In 1980, what we did was turn to a conservative governor
Oh, God,
from a
no.
blue state who knew how to solve
You
problems.
motherfucker.
What we need in the government now is someone who knows how
Did
to
he
run
just
the
compare
government
himself to
and
Reagan?
solve those problems and has done it under the toughest circumstances. With all due respect to the other governors in this race who all had Republican legislatures,
Did he
every
just call
minute
himself the
of
second
every
coming of Reagan?
day, of every week, of every month, of every year that I was governor, I had a
My
Democratic legislature.
God.
Every day. I would have given my right arm for a week with a Republican legislature. They would have never slept the things we would have been able to do. But I didn't. So
He
what I
just
had to
compared
learn
himself to Reagan.
was how
Yeah,
to bring people
California was red
together
back then.
and get things done. And we didn't do a whole bunch of liberal things, everybody. We reformed the pension system for public employees and saved taxpayers $120 billion. We made public employees for the first time contribute to the cost of their health insurance. So the taxpayers didn't have to pay every nickel of it.
Yeah, he says don't look at the past.
We fired the entire city of Camden Police Department because they were the most dangerous city in America, and there were 400 of these cops who were failing every day. Their union wouldn't let us change, so we fired all of them.
Hey, remember when you closed
We brought
down
in
all
new
the
police,
beaches?
trained them in community policing and
one?
violence de-escalation. And what's happened in the 10 years since we fired that entire police force? The murder rate in Camden is down 75%.
I don't believe that.
We need to have someone who's done law enforcement to get crime under control in our cities all across this country. What's happening in our cities is disgraceful. It's unacceptable. And if I'm President of the United States as a former U.S. attorney, violent criminals who carry guns will go to jail and they'll stay there.
Bro, how do you decide who's violent now? Just because they have a gun? What? Wait, hold on.
Ronald Reagan understood this. I remember sitting in my dorm room.
He's called himself Reagan.
In September at the University of Delaware.
Stunned.
And I was going to get to vote for president for the first time in my life.
He's calling himself
18,
Reagan.
And I got my absentee ballot. Wasn't rigged. It was actually a real ballot.
Stop it.
I only got one of them. Only filled out one of them. And I sat there and I put the X in the box next to Ronald Reagan.
You're
because
supposed to
he was
fill
the person who told me, I know how to run this. I know how to fix this. And I'm going to make your life full of hope and aspirations.
Who does that sound like
fulfilled.
to you?
And I trusted him, and I voted for him, and it's the greatest vote for president I've ever made in my life, because he kept his word to us.
Oh, yes. Trump didn't, but Reagan
We need to
did.
do the same thing again.
Yes, I can vote.
We need to take a chance
I already
on somebody
says
who knows how
multiple
to do
times.
this.
I can vote. I voted multiple times already.
So that's why I'm in this race.
Unlike certain
And I'll
people.
say one last thing to you about all of my colleagues who are in this race as well. I have to tell you, I just got asked, I was being interviewed on CNN before I came in here.
Bro, you
They
on
asked me about your
CNN?
senator from this state. And did I think he was a formidable candidate? And I said, yeah. I like Tim Scott. I think he's a good man. And I think he tries his very best every day for the people of the state and for the country. And I've known him now for 10 years, and I like him a great deal personally. I just think I'm better qualified, having been a governor for 8 years, than he is, having been in the legislature. And someday he and I may have to have that argument.
Talk about
I
president
don't have anything bad to say about almost any of my other colleagues in this race, in terms of the kind of people they are. But here's my problem with them and why I got in. They won't tell you the truth about Donald Trump.
Like you will?
They won't do
You're
it.
really making stuff up as you go.
They're afraid of him.
You should be
And they say
too.
they're afraid of his voters. Let me tell you something, everybody. No politician in this country owns any
You're
voters.
the dumbest guy I ever heard of. That's not what
Our
anybody is
birthright
saying.
Is that we get to listen.
That's
and
not what
speak
anybody is saying. They're
and
saying there's
reason
certain voters
and
that will not
decide.
vote for any other Republican.
And he doesn't
unless
own
there's somebody
any
like Trump.
voter in this state or Iowa or New Hampshire or Nevada or any other states that are come after it. So they shouldn't be afraid of anything.
Trump voters are
deserve
ones
two
that will
things
only vote for
as
Trump
voters in this
and
country.
any other
You
Trumpy
deserve
candidate.
truth,
Not for clowns
first
like
and
you.
foremost.
Not
And the
because they
truth
don't
is not
got a
negotiable.
brain. Because they got a brain. That's why
We've
they
gotten to a
won't
point
vote for you.
in our country where everybody thinks that like the truth is their truth.
Like your
So,
truth?
you know, if you hear something on one station you don't like, you just turn it to a station you do like. And then you'll hear the truth you want to hear. Truth's not negotiable, everybody.
He's not
Our
some
mother
big or
and
small
father
yet,
taught us
except
that.
once.
I tried a couple of times to negotiate the truth with my parents.
He was a
As
governor
you
of
might
New
imagine, it did not go well. I had a Sicilian mother.
I don't
Let me tell you.
care.
It never went well. My mother's advice to
Yes,
me
I would
is
vote for
guiding me
Patrick
in
Starr.
this race. I lost her 19 years ago.
Truth over
She never got
fact.
to see me be governor.
Real.
She never got to see me run for president. But something in the back of her mind must have been telling her what kind of man she would have to raise to have a chance to do that. She used to say to me, Christopher, remember this. Be yourself. Because then
Christie would have
tomorrow,
been a good president.
you don't have to try to remember
back then.
who
In
you
2012, he
pretended
would have
to
made
be
sense.
yesterday.
Not now, but
And
2012
it's great
would have made
advice.
sense.
And all these folks who are running this race should get real with you.
Like you're.
They know everything I just said. And you know the worst part? They whisper it to me. You're doing great.
You're
Go get 'em.
You're at 2%.
Let 'em have it. You're the guy from New Jersey. You can do it.
You are at 2%.
Somebody asked me, I was being interviewed at the New York Post the other day, and they asked me, why are you best equipped to take on Donald Trump? I said, 2 reasons. I've known him for 22 years. I said, second reason is, guys from New Jersey have been dealing with obnoxious guys from New York our entire lives.
Oh my God, Old man.
And we know how to deal with them.
Christie. Old man Jenkins.
I'll end with this, then take your questions.
Oh my gosh! Finally, we're getting questions.
Our country is at a moment where we have to decide whether we're going to be big or small.
No, no.
We're so small right now.
No.
Think about the small things we're arguing about.
No, not this again.
Small things. I got asked on CNN today. I didn't know about this till I got here late today. That Governor DeSantis is now saying that he wants to bring a lawsuit on behalf of Florida pension holders against InBev beverages because of the decisions that Bud Light made on their advertising, and maybe it affected the value of the stock.
It did.
Let me tell you something. You all have rendered the verdict on Bud Light. You didn't like their advertising? You stopped buying their beer. That's what America is all about. You don't need the government in there making these decisions for you about what you like or what you don't like, what you'll buy or what you won't buy, what you'll support or you won't support. The power of the American people is the power of your wallet.
Stocks without the tubes because of it.
You don't like what Target's doing, you don't go there. You don't want what Bud Light's selling, you don't buy it. You go down and you buy Coors Light or you buy Modelo or you buy whatever the heck you want. There's another beer there, like lots of them. But see, Governor DeSantis thinks that that's an issue that gets everybody riled up.
Yes.
And it's small compared to the big issues we have. But if he can just ride that horse as hard as he possibly can, maybe he'll get you so angry that you'll say, yeah, I'll vote for the angry guy. No, not that angry guy, the other angry guy.
Just go away.
I mean, hell, man, I'm not angry about anything. I'm not angry. I'm determined. I don't want to fight for myself. I want to fight for you. Because if you win, I win. By doing big things. In 1776, you know, taking a poll in this country, the poll would have been in favor of the crown. Nobody wanted to fight Great Britain. It was the biggest army in the world.
No, not this again.
They thought those guys at Philly were crazy. Adams, Jefferson, Washington.
He's going to start the history lesson.
They didn't poll it. They said, I know what's right.
You're at 2%.
And we need our own country to be truly free. Thank God they did, because here we are, and we wouldn't be otherwise. In 1861, Abraham Lincoln had hard decisions to make.
Stop with the history lesson.
He could have let the South go. We've been two small countries. Instead, he decided to go big.
Oh my God.
And said a house divided against itself cannot stand.
He just starts the history
stuff. We sacrificed a lot.
Why does he do this?
A lot of blood and treasure and sadness. But what happened after that war? Our country was bigger and stronger and better. And in 1941, Franklin Roosevelt stood up and said, I am not going to let Hitler and Mussolini and Hirohito have authoritarianism across the entire world, and they're coming for us next.
They could have never invaded us.
Men and women sacrificed incredibly both here at home and overseas
we should have got involved in World War II.
And we won it. And what happened at the end of it, America was bigger, stronger, freer, and richer.
Hold on, let me mute this guy for a second. It was a right decision to get involved, but it's like we would have never got invaded. We had two oceans dividing us.
An evil empire. And I am going to relegate them to the dustbin of history. 8 years later, the Berlin Wall fell.
Berlin Wall?
And 10 years later, the Soviet Union was gone. We had to sacrifice a lot to do that. A lot more government money got spent, and lives got risked. But where did we come at the end of it? America was the only superpower, freer, stronger, richer than we had ever been before. We're at the same moment now, and the adversary on the other side is the Chinese, and we know it. We got to decide. Do we want to win again? Do we want to go big? Or do we want to continue to fight about these small issues?
Oh my gosh, no.
I'm sorry, the small issues can be amusing, but they don't make a great country.
He will never stop.
I'm running for president of the United States because I want to do the big things. I want to do the big things again.
Oh my Jesus.
So that we can be stronger, freer, richer, and a leader all over the world. So for that lady who asked me over at the Palmetto Club, I gave her the short version of that.
You just
Why
say the
I'm in
same
this race,
thing
that's
over
why
and
I'm
over
in
again.
this race. And I'm here in South Carolina because you know what? You have a unique
Yeah, I wanted to
position,
praise
and you
Lincoln
know
in
it.
South Carolina.
We'll get through Iowa and New Hampshire, and then we're probably going to be coming down here. Brace yourselves. With the way these dates are working, we're all going to probably be here for a month.
Good.
A month bugging you poor people with our TV ads and our town hall meetings.
Jesus.
But
We had
here's
a
what
couple
I'd ask
super
you to
chat-
do. Go to all of them.
I'm muting this guy. Screw this guy for a second. Godsmack AR69 for 5. Christie said he's not angry. Fact check. He's angry with not being Trump's VP. True. Vince Dow for 10. Big town hall. One of the biggest. Large, many would say. Yeah, I just want to like... I just want to leave. Man Milk for 2. How does it be in the Cinema Sins election YouTube? I love it. I love it because it's memes. Oh, I gotta unmute this clown.
History. It is time to get the showman off the stage and try to get the people who know and care about this country back in charge of it. We don't need two people 160 years old combined
You're like 70.
on the ballot this November. You know, everybody says our country's so divided. Let me tell you one thing we're not divided on. I saw a poll the other day. 70% of Americans say they don't want it to be Trump and Biden. Hell, man, let's give them a parting gift and say, you united us. Get out. Both of you.
You're so
Go to the
cringe.
beach.
It's unbelievable.
Do whatever you need to do. Thank you for your service. Time to go home. It's time for us to start doing the big things again.
Jesus, shut the fuck up.
So I'm proud to be here. I love this country. I care deeply about it. And we can talk about a lot of other big things when you ask
Just
your questions
go
of me.
away.
Anything is in bounds. I just remind you, I am from New Jersey. So you know what that means. It means you can ask me anything you want, and I will answer anything you ask me, and I will not sugarcoat it. But if you decide you want to have a little argument, we'll have it.
I'll get a fight.
And we'll have a
fist
good one.
fight.
So Jordan's back there with the microphone. Raise your hand, and let's start with the first question right back here.
Hi, I'm Craig Howland, originally from Connecticut.
Well, 1 second. Let's get the microphone turned on. We got it on?
Is that on? Is that good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I came down on a lark, but I'm glad I came because I'm exactly your age.
You're from
And
Connecticut?
I remember well what you're talking about in the late 70s when we whooped somebody's tail in hockey.
Yes.
Boy, were people screaming in Vermont when I used to ski up there at the Killington. But I think we need somebody your age right now espousing the exact ideas you know, bringing forth. Quick story, my brother-in-law is an executive headhunter, retired now, mid-70s. He went from Fairfield, Connecticut down to West Palm to his other
This
property.
sounds like his brother.
Interesting story, around 1990, circa that era.
Jesus, no.
I'm an engineer doing
Not
NASA-level
Christie
work in
Jr..
cable wave systems, microwave electronics, which is my field. And he said, I got invited to go down to New York City to Trump Plaza, and he was an executive headhunter, placing people in Exxon, major corporations. And he was down there, and he said, I was invited as a guest, and I had breakfast in the morning early. And he
just
said it
drank
was
like
basically
half
just
that water
cereal.
already.
And when the meeting was over, he was going to screen candidates for Trump. He said, I got stuck with the bill, which is like $50 for a bowl of cereal. And he said he got a very strange,
What
odd feeling
is
about it, and what
happening?
you're mentioning about casinos failing. I'd been down there. I'd been in the Trade Center before they fell numerous times when it was new. I'd been to those casinos, and I knew exactly what you're talking about. So, that shows the character, and we've all seen what's been going on.
Yeah, look.
Too much radicalism, and we need moderation.
And look, we need someone who cares about the country as a whole, not just about themselves. And, the fact is, when you hear him talking, he's talking about he will be the retribution.
Great question, yeah. That was freaking.
Is that what we really want
perfect.
behind the desk in the Oval Office? I am your retribution? He'll be his own retribution, everybody.
Yes.
Won't be ours.
Yes.
And I want you to think about something. The presidency is too big a job for any man or woman to do by themselves. You got to have great people around you. He hired a lot of really good people the first time.
No, he didn't.
Where are they now? All 4 of his chiefs of staff are openly opposed to him being reelected. Both of his secretaries of state openly opposed to him being reelected. Both of his secretaries of defense openly opposed to him being reelected. Both his attorneys general openly opposed to being reelected. Both his White House counsels, his lawyers, openly opposed to him being reelected. His Secretary of Transportation, his Secretary of Commerce, everybody who was close to him.
I don't care who wanted him in or not.
They are out there saying they are opposed to him being elected.
I thought you don't care about the past.
Who is going to work for this man?
Me.
Forget about the C team. This is going to be the F team.
Yes. Get me in there. Press secretary.
It will be showtime again, everybody, for him. And so, I have to tell you, and I said this the other day in response to your comment. They asked me about why I thought a billionaire was taking all this money to pay his own legal fees.
Because part of his election campaign.
On television.
You freaking bozo.
I actually absolutely told the unvarnished truth. I said he's the cheapest SOB I've ever met in my life. And he is. He just is. And so that's okay. It's okay to be cheap if that's what you want. It's his money. He ain't cheap with ours, though. $6 trillion to the national debt. Not cheap with ours. Yes, ma'am. Who's got the microphone? Where are we?
What the hell is even happening?
Thank you. My name is Steve Hassel. I'm retired from the Air Force, 30 years active duty and reserve. Thank you.
Oh, God, I think it just broke for a second.
I never thought I'd see the day that our Capitol would be rioted. It really disgusted me.
It happened multiple times, you doofus.
And so my question to you, Jack Smith, the special counsel, it looks like he's coming down pretty soon. Gerald Ford lost a second term. Maybe it was because he pardoned Nixon. I don't know, but
he didn't have got a first term.
I think the chess game is on, and I think Trump is losing. What do you think?
Well, look, because I was a prosecutor for 7 years of my life, I think I understand this better than most, and I'm happy to just quickly go through it. The New York case, I think, is a pile of garbage. I would have never brought that case. Look, the Manhattan DA's job is to make sure that he keeps the people of Manhattan safe and secure. I don't know how bringing a case against a 77-year-old guy for paying off a porn star to keep quiet about having sex with him 7 years ago.
That's not what happened.
Manhattan any safer.
That's alleged, and none of that's true.
I don't think you needed to bring that case, especially when I go to Manhattan a couple of times a week, and man, you don't want to walk around there right now. You just don't. So I think that case shouldn't have been brought. Doesn't mean his conduct was good. It wasn't.
There's no proof
of it, though.
Paying
off a porn star to keep, porn star to keep quiet before an election, so we don't find out that you had an affair with her. Not kind of character you necessarily want.
That's what every candidate does. Bill Clinton did. I know he's not a good character, but still.
On the documents case, look, you served, and you know that those military plans are secret for a reason. Because if our opponents get their hands on them in any way, it puts men like you and the women who serve as well at risk. Put aside all the other stuff he did, he was putting our servicemen and women at risk.
Show a document.
by having those documents
What
laying
documents?
around. What was he doing with them anyway?
What documents?
He was still pretending to be president, everybody. He kept those
No.
documents to pretend to be president.
No, because it
And
was a
for
dispute
18
over
months,
who
and
had
I
it.
love the people who say he should never had his house raided. It was horrible, terrible. Well, guess why his house was raided? Because for 18 months, they asked him voluntarily to give the stuff back.
It was a dispute with the National
By letter,
Archives.
by phone call, to his lawyers, finally with a grand jury subpoena. Guess what? He would not be facing the charges he's facing today if he had done what any one of us would have done. Give the damn papers
No.
back. What are you doing with them? You're not the president anymore.
Oh, yes,
Why
the
do you
government
need
could
the
just take
secret
your
war plan
documents.
against Iran? No one's calling to ask your
There's no
opinion.
proof of that existing. He mentioned it, but
Joe
there's no
Biden's
proof
not
of
calling to
existing.
say, hey, Donald, what do you think about the Iran thing? Not happening. He did it to himself and worse. He lied
I can show because it's on
and
YouTube.
obstructed the government from getting that stuff back.
That's not what
He's in
happened.
trouble on that case, and that case is now set for May 20th of 2024.
There's a good chance
If
he
you're
may
a
never go
Republican in
anywhere.
this room who is committed to wanting to defeat Joe Biden because you think he's not the right president, why in God's name would we nominate somebody who is going to be on federal criminal trial 5.5 months before Election Day? It is insanity. He did it to himself. And about January 6th, I don't know what the charges are going to look like. And I'm a careful prosecutor. I don't comment on these things. You know, remember when the last one was getting ready to come out? Remember they announced it on Friday, but they didn't release the indictment till Monday.
Yeah, the
So
government-
all
the
weekend,
military
yeah,
sent,
talking
like,
heads all over
hundreds of thousands
TV giving their
documents in
opinions,
Mali,
and
the
they kept
Russian,
asking me, and I'm like,
ally.
I have no opinion. I haven't read the document yet. How about I find out what they're charging him with before I say whether he's guilty, innocent, or whether the charges are good?
You would say he's guilty.
So I'm a
before
stickler for
proven
that stuff.
innocent.
So I don't know what's going to happen. But in Atlanta, they have one of the biggest RICO statutes, broadest RICO statutes of any state in the country. And today, it was reported that they intend to charge him under the racketeering statute in Georgia.
That's what they're charging
What
him
that
for?
means is that he set up a corrupt organization to try to commit a crime.
What?
That's coming too.
That's what they're charging him in
left?
Georgia for? Racketeering?
What's left? Look, I
How can people
prosecuted
defend that
cases
as,
for
oh yeah,
7
it's
years in
totally
New Jersey,
legitimate?
And I'm proud of what we did. We did 130 political corruption cases against Republicans and Democrats without a defeat. 130-0. We put 10% of the New Jersey State Legislature in jail. 10%.
Well, because it's New Jersey politics.
Which you can imagine made it incredibly comfortable when I then got elected governor and went down with the 90% we missed. But
That's not too
I
smart
know what
there,
I'm
guy.
talking about in this stuff, and we need to move on. We need to move on. And we need to move on to a president who understands what law enforcement is all about.
Like Trump?
And the answer with this, he said that it was okay to suspend the Constitution if you think the election was stolen.
That's
from
not what
you.
he said. He's just making
And
stuff
when he
up
was asked
now.
about that by Brett Baer, he stood behind it.
He never said that.
Now, I want to remind you what the oath of office is for President of the United States. One of the things you swear to do with your hand on a Bible is to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Not suspend, defend. Anybody, in my opinion, who says that it's okay to suspend the Constitution is disqualified from being president of the United
This
States.
guy just makes
He is
stuff up, but he,
disqualified.
remember, he loves truth over fact. Which, wait, hold on.
I pointed this guy. Let me go to him first, and then I'll come right back to you.
Oh, this could be a doozy.
From New York, and I thank you for having us.
Bro!
A couple of questions. I disagree with a lot of what you say on Donald Trump, but I respect what you did in New Jersey, and I want to know if me and my family can take a picture with you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to take a picture right now. How about this?
What the?
All right. Come on. Jordan will take the picture. Come on, what's your name, brother?
Nicholas.
Nicholas, nice to meet you.
Bro, what did I just see?
Here we go. You're in the family too. What's your name?
Holy fuck.
No, nice to meet you. All right. Thank you, my man.
Bruh.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
This can't be real.
Hey, Governor Christie, Patrick with AARP here in South Carolina. So I've probably asked you this question before. 1.2 million people in South Carolina depend on the Social Security check, probably a lot of folks in this room. What would a Christie presidency do to make that solution solvent for future generations?
Well, I'm glad you asked because 11 years from right now,
Oh, this where it gets
11 years,
funny.
Social Security will be bankrupt. And under the law, that means an automatic 25% reduction in benefits immediately for everybody who's receiving Social Security.
This is fake, by the way. I'm going to show you guys
some
the
of you in this
truth.
room may be taking Social Security now. Some of you, like me, are close. And by 11 years, will clearly be taking Social Security. A 25% reduction in Social Security for men and women who are relying upon it to pay their rent, to buy their food, to help support themselves is unsustainable. The most disgusting moment in Joe Biden's presidency, in my view, was his State of the Union speech when he stood up and said, can we all agree we're not going to do anything to Social Security?
Bro, okay.
And both parties stood up and cheered.
Yes.
Well, no one, except for me, afterwards on ABC, explained to people what that meant. Doing nothing means a 25% reduction in every
I'll give you a
person's
super chat in a
benefits.
second.
It can't happen. So everything's got to be on the table.
You dumbass.
And it means, should we have means testing?
Yeah.
Does Warren Buffett need Social Security? Does Mark Zuckerberg? Does Elon Musk?
Yes.
Do people who have gathered enormous wealth, as much as I respect them for it, I don't want to take it.
All right, I got a super chat real quick. Godsmack AR69 nice for 5. It's funny hearing Chris Cringy crying about how Biden and Trump are so old. Shouldn't Chris's weight be more of a health concern? Not even joking. Yeah.
Do to prepare for retirement. But Mary Pat and I have an eldest son who's 30 years old.
Okay,
If I tell him now that the retirement age is going to be a few years higher than what it is right now, and he's got 35 years to prepare for it, if he doesn't, he's got bigger problems than whether he prepared
Guys,
for Social Security.
you
We
hear
need
what
to
he
have that
said.
conversation. I'm not someone who will favor raising taxes because I think our taxes are high enough, and I don't think we need to do it.
Just
I think we
get
can
rid
make
of
those
the
other kinds of
loopholes.
adjustments. But here's the thing about this race. I'm the only person in this race who will look you in the eye and say, I'm going to make changes.
Oh God, what the hell? What the? Hold on. There we
The
go.
only
That
last
was
president
weird.
who did it was Ronald Reagan, who said, I will not let Social Security.
All right, so I'm just going to mute this for a second. So you notice how he said 11 years is when Social Security is going to run out of money. His proposals won't go into effect for 30 years. He just said it. So what do you mean you're going to run out of money? You see, that's the whole argument about Social Security. Oh, yes, it's run out of money in 11 years, but our policy will impact them in 30 years. It's fake.
Came up to me on the debate stage one night
All right.
during the commercials. And by the way, if the RNC really wanted to make money, what they do is sell pay-per-view for what's going on during the commercials. Because there's like 6-7 minute commercial break, and here are all of us standing on stage, right? What the hell do you do? You're not allowed to go talk to your advisors. You can go and say hello to your wife or her husband or children, but you basically have to talk to each other.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the
And by
glitch
this
that just
time,
happened.
everybody hated Trump except for
You're
me.
overthinking rap, believe in
Jeb
magic.
wouldn't talk to him.
Are you
Marco
fiscally
wouldn't talk to him.
conservative?
Ted wouldn't talk to him.
I'm
They all
fiscally
hated
pragmatic.
him. And so the only person he had to
I'm
talk to
not
was me.
conservative
So he
or
came over to me
liberal
and
on
goes, by the way,
economics.
I saw
I'm
that
neither.
thing you put out on Social
economics too
Security and
complicated.
Medicare. He goes, it's really, really smart. I said, oh, thank you, Donald. He goes, I'll never do it because it's not popular. But he said it's really smart.
Smart.
Is that the kind of president you want? Because if you reelect him, I guarantee you he will do nothing. He'll blame somebody else, and he'll be long out of Dodge by the time the 25% cut comes. So we've got
I
to go
just
back
debunked
to
your
the way
entire
Reagan dealt
thing.
with this. in the 80s. Be smart about this, deal with it head on, so that nobody goes to their bank account and sees their direct deposit 25% less than it was the month before, because that will cost lives. And all this grandstanding by everybody else in this race, because no one else will talk about it.
Hand in
I
pocket.
get reporters who come to me and say, what,
Yep.
are you stupid?
What is he
What are you
doing?
talking about Social Security for? Just ignore it.
But that's not true.
I
He's
wanna do the big
lying
thing.
with the Social Security stuff. I just proved it.
This is a big thing for the men and women in this country who have spent their whole lives paying into that fund every 2 weeks out of their paycheck, that we need to keep our faith with them. And that's exactly how I'll do it. Right here.
Governor Christie, you spoke to us about your service as governor while the legislature was heavily Democratic, and yet
Finally,
you
somebody from
made,
South Carolina.
progress there. The country now is split almost in half on so many issues. How can you get beyond that? How can you help us get the country beyond it so we're not so polarized?
Good question, an important question. And I can only refer back to how I did it in New Jersey. Right after I got elected, the state Senate elected a new Senate president. His name was Steve Sweeney.
And he got knocked
He
out.
was the president of the Iron Workers Union. As you might imagine,
I still
another
love when he
shy
lost in that
retiring
election to
like me.
frickin' the
And
dude
he was from the southern
$5,
part of our
Ed
state.
Durr.
And I said to the troopers, this is before I'm sworn in, I said, I want to go down to Steve Sweeney's office. They said, do you have an appointment? I said, no, just let's go. It's a 2-hour drive from my house to his office. And I just showed up at his office. And I walked in, and his secretary saw me, Governor-elect, I don't think the Senate president's expecting you. And I said, no, I was just in the neighborhood, and I decided to stop by. So she said, okay, I'll go get him. So poor Steve comes out embarrassed because he had just come from working out, and he was in sweatpants and a T-shirt and sneakers.
Yeah, it's always about
Like,
New
Governor,
Jersey.
I didn't expect
I thought he
you.
cared about the future,
And I said, no, I was just
not
in the
the
neighborhood. He
past.
goes, Bull, your neighborhood's 2 hours away. I said, all right, well, I came down to see you. Let's go in your conference room. We sat down in the conference room. He goes, what's up? And I said to him, Steve, I got one question for you. I said, for the next 8 years, do we want to make headlines or do we want to put touchdowns in the end zone? And he said, 4 years. And I said, 8 years. I was right. I said, what do we want to do? I said, because if you want to put touchdowns in the end zone, I promise you 2 things. I will always listen to you. And when I put out my hand and I give you my word, whether it turns out to be a good political deal or a bad political deal for me, I will keep my word.
His credit rating went down 70 times.
And he looked at me,
New Jersey.
and he said, I want to put touchdowns in the end zone. I said, good. I stood up, I shook his hand. And if anybody in this room, civilian or reporter, goes back and talks to Steve Sweeney today, he will tell them that I always kept my word to him. Politics is still a business of people.
And that's
we
why
have
nobody likes
dehumanized
politics.
this
Nobody
thing
like Trump.
by not talking to people, but tweeting at them.
Drove 2 hours to ask one question.
By not going to dinner with them, but yelling at them in front of big rooms of big people. We've dehumanized it. Some of the best political advice I ever got was from a friend of mine who said to me,
What did he just say? What?
he was going to see the New York Times, the editorial board of the New York Times as a Republican. I said, what are you doing? And he said to me, no, you don't understand, Chris. He said, it's harder to hate up close. It's harder to hate up close.
What
So
is
the
he
first
even
thing you
talking
do
about?
as President of the United States is to spend time with these people. Get to know them. Get to know what
You
their
said big
families are
twice?
like. You're not
Okay.
going to get all of them. Some of them are going to be, awful people, and they're just not going to want to meet with you. That's not anywhere near most of them. On both sides of the aisle.
Christie for quarterback.
Listen to them. Find out what their priorities are.
Didn't Mitt
They got
Romney and
elected, too.
Obama have big rallies? So why are you blaming Trump for
And
that?
then use the bully pulpit of the presidency to persuade, to get the public behind your point of view. And then go in there and negotiate the best possible deal you can to make progress. Ronald Reagan used to say, the guy who disagrees with me 20% of the time is not my 20% enemy. He's my 80% friend.
Then why do you hate Trump?
We've forgotten that. And so it's not easy, and it's not guaranteed. But it worked for me for 8 years in one of the toughest states in this country, and certainly one of the toughest states for a Republican. You need to get people back to understanding. that what you expect from us is to put touchdowns in the end zone.
I don't know what he's even
to
talking
accomplish
about at this
something.
point.
Not just go down there and blow hot air and
You're
score
blowing
points
hot
on
air right
cable
now.
TV. And then come back 2 or 4 years later and say, wasn't I great? You saw my speeches. Yeah, no, we didn't do
Best
that. But that
president
wasn't
of my
my fault. It
lifetime,
was his
Trump.
fault. And just
Easy.
vote for me again. Everything will be fine. We can't do that anymore. The problems are too big. And more than that,
Jesus.
the opportunities are too great to take a pass on spending the time. Believe me, there were many nights at 11 o'clock at night, Mary Pat and I would be in bed, and my phone would ring. And it would be the Senate president coming home from a dinner or some type of meeting. And she would say to me, "Really? 11 o'clock at night? This guy? Come on." And I'd say, "I got to take the call." I took the call every time because I never ever wanted him to be able to say that when he had something to say, I wasn't willing to listen. Now, this is also a guy who on the front page of our state's largest newspaper said one morning he wanted to punch me in the head.
Good.
So it wasn't all sunshine and roses, and we didn't go out to dinner every night, but we got the people's work done. It's harder to hate up close. I've experienced this. The same way Reagan experienced it in California with a whole bunch of unruly Democrats. And he understood how to make things happen. You look at his relationship with Tip O'Neill. They disagreed on almost everything, but they found a way to cut taxes. They found a way to save Social Security. They found a way to fix the immigration system back in the 80s.
I'm just bored.
They did all those things.
This can't be real. This has to be a
Because-
simulation.
After 6 o'clock, they'd go upstairs to the residence. They'd both have a couple of scotches, and they would sit there and talk to each other. We don't do that
What does that have to
anymore.
do with
We are
2024?
not going to accomplish anything as a country by continuing to scream at each other. Believe me, when I have to scream, I'll scream.
Do it.
When I need to be tough, you know I can be tough, and you've seen it.
Yeah, right.
But that's not every day, and you got to
You
have more than
being
one club in the
tough?
bag.
The
In the
cringe
golfing
count is
game in South
interesting
Carolina.
number. Yeah, we
You've got to
we're
have
just
more than one
increasing
club in
our
the
rapid
bag, and I
rates.
do. And Donald Trump doesn't. He takes his driver to the green.
So would you.
Back here.
Hi, I'm really a centrist, and I wanted to
Cringe.
know whether you like it or not, Trump's influence on the Supreme Court is outsized. And we got some people on the Supreme Court who I don't feel really gave a proper sense of who the type of judge they were going to be.
Cope.
What is your vision for a Supreme Court that seems to be more aligned with the hopes and the wishes of the political body as a whole?
What?
I'd respectfully disagree with you on some of that. Let me tell you why. It kind of makes me angry when after years in the 50s and 60s and 70s, we had liberal justices who were making up things from the Constitution out of whole cloth.
Oh boy.
And because we continue to have liberal justices on the court, those things stayed in place. And now all of a sudden you get conservatives on the court who are saying, no, abortion's not in the Constitution. No, it's not right to discriminate against anyone because of the color of their skin. And we can't have laws that do that.
I mean, he's
And
actually
they're
cooking.
undoing those things. Now all of a sudden it's unfair. I would
Yes.
argue it's not unfair, it's just different. And you may not agree with it. And that's what's great about a democracy.
I hate democracy.
You know,
democracy
you
is a
can
scam.
support people who will do things differently. I will tell you this. I don't know Justice Gorsuch all that well, and I don't know whether I would have appointed him or not.
You're cringe.
But I know Amy Coney Barrett really well, and I definitely would have appointed her.
Whoa, rare
And I know
W.
Brett Kavanaugh really well, and I would have definitely appointed him.
Not as good.
I'm not saying I wouldn't have appointed Gorsuch. I just don't know him well enough to know whether I would or wouldn't have. But what's really going
Finally
on
cooked for once.
is what Barack Obama said to us a number of years ago. Elections have consequences.
Yes.
And so we've had more Republican presidents. And by the way, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, bless her soul, decided to take it right to the end. Took it right to the end. While Donald Trump was sitting in the White House.
Yes.
She could have left when Barack Obama was in the White House. and been assured that someone like her would be appointed to a
Wow.
seat. She didn't.
McConnell
That
back
was
then
her
would have
choice.
allowed it.
But it had consequences. Justice Kennedy, on the other hand, left before he died, and he's still alive. He left while Donald Trump was president. So Brett Kavanaugh got
I thought that
appointed
was Gorsuch.
into his seat.
That flipped it.
There are political consequences for all of this. What I think is important is that I hate the attack on the validity of the court because
actually
they've said
cooking. Why is this
what
his
they've been
best
saying
answer
in the
of
minority
anything?
for 50 years, that these things are wrong. Now they come and they're in the majority, so they say, that wrong stuff, we're changing it. In the very same way that when the liberals were in charge, they didn't like certain things and they reversed them. But I think
Yeah,
if you
Gorsuch
look at
was
the
first.
core of what the Supreme Court
Gorsuch.
has stood for,
Okay,
they
Scalia, that's what it
still,
was.
Despite
That's right,
being
that's right.
6 conservatives and 3 liberals now,
Scalia died.
they still have not given up on the rule of law.
That's when McConnell said,
So
screw
when Donald
you.
Trump brings
That was
the
funny.
election stuff to them, 9-0. No. Okay? If you look at
It was
almost
more
all
like
the decisions that the Supreme
7-0-2.
Court
I mean,
makes,
Thomas and
the thing that happens
Thomas
the
and
most
who else?
is 9-0. The ones we read about.
Who was the
are
other one that
6-3s,
dissented?
the
Or
5-4s.
they abstained.
But these men and women
Thomas
are trying to do the very best
and-
they can. And I think we're running down another institution of our
No,
country
I can't think of the top of my head.
that
What
we
is it?
need. An independent judiciary keeps an eye on everybody else in government. That's why we give them lifetime tenure. So I don't have to worry about getting reelected. I don't have to worry about
Six
whether
quote-unquote
you or me like them
conservatives.
or
Yeah,
not.
it's more like
I can
4
guarantee
conservatives,
you that Ruth Bader
one-
Ginsburg could have cared
one
less
slightly
whether I
conservative,
agreed with her
one
or I
toss-up.
didn't.
No, it wasn't Roberts.
The same way Antonin Scalia, before he died, could have cared less whether I agreed with him or disagreed with him. That's the kind of judiciary we
Alito,
need.
yeah, it was Alito.
And I'm concerned
That's what I was trying to think of.
that as we run down
I'm
the
like, was it
Supreme Court because
Kavanaugh?
we disagree
No,
with the
it's
decision,
Alito.
that we're going to diminish the value of that court to our democracy. It is the one thing that
Why are you
distinguishes
talking
us from
democracy
every
so much?
other
Why does this matter?
free country in the world, let alone the dictatorships,
freedom.
is that independent judiciary.
Meanwhile, you supported the
we can
Patriot
disagree
Act.
on some of that stuff, but my vision to finish the answer, I would look for the very best qualified people who are consistent with my philosophy of the role of federal courts in our governmental system. And you know what I also learned from picking judges as governor? They all forget who appoint them once they get in. I
no,
say they
not
all
liberal
believe
justices.
they were virginal
Liberal
births.
judges, they always account for that.
Politics?
Not conservative.
Nothing. I
ones.
had nothing to do with I don't even know what you're talking about. I had nothing to do with politics. Meanwhile, 10 minutes before they got sworn in, they're at my office begging to be appointed, right? Governor, whatever you need, I'll be your guy, right?
Bruh.
Let me tell you, man, they all forget it. So, and Republicans have seen that with a number of justices that were appointed by Republican presidents. Harry Blackmun was appointed by Richard Nixon. He wrote Roe versus Wade.
That's an L.
David Souter got appointed by George Bush
It's
41.
only conservative judges.
He was one of the most liberal justices, as it turned out, in the modern history of the court. So a lot of times you think you pick right, and you don't. And that's the beauty of the system, because once Souter got there,
That's not
he
beauty.
didn't care what George Bush 41 thought.
It's only
Souter was gonna
conservative
do what
judges
David
that do
Souter thought
that.
was best. We got to preserve that.
So,
In the back here. I'll get you next.
Governor Christie, my name's Andrew Voiles, and I grew up with, I'm 20 years old. I grew up with a poster of Ronald Reagan in my bedroom.
Bruh.
And if you're the Republican nominee, you'll have my vote for president. But in 2020, I voted for Joe Biden. And the reason for that is since Iowa in 2016, through the general election in 2016, and leading up to 2020, Donald Trump made very clear that he would not concede under any circumstances, and that he would not recognize an election he didn't win as legitimate. So while I respect that you are speaking out against him now after January 6th, if and when you are hopefully president,
Oh
how
my
can
God,
I go to
bruh.
bed at night trusting
Reagan-loving
that you have a
Democrat.
good grasp on the struggles and threats that the country
that's
faces?
10
Thank
core,
you.
yeah.
Good question. Look, let me clarify the record a little bit as you repeated it.
Oh my gosh.
I broke with Donald Trump on election night 2020. on live television at 2:30 in the morning when he came out and gave his speech where he said the election was stolen behind the seal of the president in the East Room of the White House, when he had no earthly idea whether the election was stolen or not. All the votes hadn't even been counted yet.
That's not what happened.
To me, that was the moment when he proved beyond any doubt that he was beneath the office that he held.
You're cringe.
And maybe I should have known sooner. But I didn't. And I didn't want Joe Biden to be president, by the way. And I respect your vote for President Biden, but I didn't want Joe Biden to be president because
you love Reagan,
I
but you voted for
anticipated what
Biden.
we'd
That's
see.
like all the Biden Republicans.
And so I
They
supported
worship
Donald
Reagan,
Trump.
but that's
But
about
that
it.
night, I was sitting on set at ABC, and he's giving that speech, and I turned to George Stephanopoulos, and I said, come to me right when he's done. And he said, why? I go, I won't disappoint you. Just come to me. And I said exactly what I believed, which was that the man who is given the honor and the privilege of stewarding over our democracy can never put himself in front of that democracy. He did it.
God. I hate the Republicans like this exist.
And why you should go to bed and feel comfortable about the fact that I understand that is that I'm standing right here, right now, and saying it. And believe me, it's not the easiest thing in the Republican Party to say right now. And you want the proof of
Republicans
that?
are obsessed
No
with
one
it
else is
because
saying it.
Reagan was like
Okay, so
Reagan. That's why.
if I'm saying it now, if you honor me with your vote, and I'm fortunate enough to stand on the west front of the Capitol on January 20th of 2025, you can go to bed every night knowing that I understand what it means to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, and I will do it
Yeah, we're a
with every
constitutional
breath I
republic.
have.
I'm
Every day
yawning
that I
at
would be
this
honored to be
because it's just so
President of the United
boring.
States.
Thank you for being here, Governor.
Thank
and
you.
like the young man back there, my daughter's name is Reagan, named for Ronald Reagan. And all the conversation has been awesome about the big issues that really are presidential. But I'm
What
going to ask you
issues?
about something that's more small,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of the other Republican candidates are leaning into this. So I am a school board member in the area, and we're hearing a lot about book bans and curriculum crackdowns and diversity and inclusion policies, and I would just like to know what your thoughts are on those issues.
Well, first of all, let me thank you for what you do, because school board is the most thankless elected position
You're
in America.
worshiping these school
In America.
boards?
Thankless.
You're worshiping the school boards that
Let me
oh
thank
my
you,
God.
for
that
doing that
arrested
thankless
parents
job.
for questioning what's happening?
Look, I really believe,
Yeah, this is the
in
real
what you
cult.
do.
Reagan. It's
and
a
I
real
believe
cult.
that the
It's
people
like
who should be making
1%.
decisions about what is taught in our schools are parents in consultation with their school boards, who, by the way, are parents who volunteer their time to be on the school board to oversee the people, the professionals who run our schools every day. And what I'm worried about in all this conversation is this
it
idea
is
that
Columbia,
somehow
South
the
Carolina,
government
so
can
it's
make
gonna be
these
a bit more
decisions for
like
our kids
this.
better than their parents can.
Bro, what is up with that dude?
I think parents
that
not only
dude in
have a
that
right to be involved,
yellow
I
shirt.
think they have an obligation.
He looks
to
drugged
be
out of his
involved.
mind.
And I think when government gets too
Look
big
at
in this
him.
stuff, we let them off
oh,
their
God.
obligation.
What have
someone
I
else is taking
seen,
care of it.
man?
Someone else is taking care of my kid. Governor DeSantis wants to tell all of us what books we can read,
That's
what
not
things
true.
we can teach, what we can't
Everybody
teach,
knows I'm not the biggest fan
what
of
I
DeSantis.
can permit
fan.
my
He's
child
been a
to
good
do,
governor.
what I can't permit
This
my
isn't
child to do.
true.
Look, I don't know what kind of parent he is. He's got 3 beautiful little children. I assume he's a good dad, but it doesn't mean he and I will agree on everything about raising a child any more than you would
That's not
agree
what DeSantis
with
is
you
pushing.
or you or you. We're all going to raise our
targeted,
children
what?
differently, and we're all going to pray every night that we're not screwing it up. I mean, I say to Mary Pat all the time, I know I'm doing something that my kids are going to repeat on some psychiatrist's couch someday. I just don't know what it is. Because if I knew what it was, I'd stop, right? So we all have our ways. But I will tell you that I think the parents working with the school
who's that guy in
boards
the back
at the
with
local level,
glasses?
not the president of the United States.
Is that Jesus?
Not the governor of South Carolina.
Jesus with
should be making those
sunglasses on?
decisions. You now, and then you.
Governor Christie, good evening. I'm David Hoke and my wife Yvonne. We're from a little city of Loris near Myrtle Beach, which most of you have heard of. And we came here with the maybe a secondary desire to find out how our good friends in South Carolina would react to your anti-Trump speeches. And I have to tell you, we're grateful to hear what we've heard tonight. I was afraid we were going to get hit with tomatoes sitting up front. So I want to give you all a big hug. I think this is great. So that's my. I do have a question.
Good.
My question is, why is it so hard to talk about climate change in our country?
Oh God, no, not this again.
Look, I think there's two reasons it's hard to talk about climate change in our country. The
Another
first reason
climate change Republican.
that
Who are these people?
For most people, it's kind of an ephemeral concept, right?
Yeah,
like,
this is
it's
weird.
hot today.
Old talk with
It's always hot
Reagan
in
and
South
stuff. It's
Carolina.
like, bruh.
And people looking for well, I think what most people want is exact proof. Like, show it, I want to see it, feel
It's
it,
like the
touch
worst
it.
event I've ever seen.
And we know that climate change, which I believe there is climate change, and I believe that humans contribute to it. I think that's just like simple deduction, right? We're doing a lot of stuff now that we didn't do 1,000 years ago. And that's got to change the earth. It just has to. Here's the
These are
bigger
old
problem,
Democrats, yeah.
is
I mean,
that the
this,
rest
you
of the
can't
world
be serious
isn't
right now.
concerned about climate change. So, for instance, in the last decade, we have lowered our carbon output by 1 billion tons.
And China's raised by
We're making
30
progress
billion.
in this country. Everybody's contributing to it. The Chinese have increased their carbon output 5 billion tons. So,
That
the
we
American
know
people
of,
look at
that
that
they're
and
willing
say,
to
"All right, let me
admit."
understand something. We're going to make our life more expensive, more difficult, less efficient in many ways to try to save the
It's
earth.
worse somehow.
While the Chinese make it hotter because they refuse to join the party. And they say, well, you already had your industrial revolution, we're having ours. Guess what? They had theirs 50
They
years
don't care
ago.
about the environment.
This is part of the problem. I think that
I don't
the core
deny
of the
climate change. I just
problem in
deny how
America
much is a human
is
involvement.
that we feel like
That's
we're
what I
being treated
deny.
unfairly.
Like climate, of course,
And then
changes.
Americans
but,
won't
and of course,
unilaterally
I want a
conform.
clean environment.
They're gonna
I
say,
just
well, the
question
Chinese
how
are doing
much
all
of the
this stuff, they're gonna
how
get an
much
advantage
of
on us.
our
We've got to compete with
what
them.
we're doing
So
causes
part of
climate
what the
change.
next president's
That's what I
job is going to be,
question.
in fact, I think the
Not because
biggest
it doesn't
part
exist.
of
It
the next
exists.
president's job
Just
is
I
gonna be the
question how much
relationship with
it's
China.
related to it.
If we don't get that right, there are going to be ramifications for climate. There are going to be military ramifications. There are going to be technological ramifications. There are going to be educational ramifications that we can't conceive of as we sit here
Get rid of the
tonight.
pollution. Yeah, I agree.
But we know it's going to happen.
That's how you get rid of it. Get rid of the
if
actual
we
pollution.
don't engage them in a way that makes them understand. I have no problem with the Chinese competing with us and trying to beat us. Just on a level playing
I
field.
would honestly rather listen to Hutchinson.
Stop taking
'cause
advantage
This is
of us.
just bad.
Stop stealing our intellectual property. Stop doing things, stealing American ideas to make your lives better. Buy them. Got plenty of money. Buy our ideas, the good ones. We'll sell them, most of them, right? And so I think those are the two big problems. One, that many people in the country can't see it, touch it, feel it, and it's not real to them until they can.
Yeah, I can't
And
wait
the
for
second
Christie to
piece is
praise
they feel like we're
LBJ.
being taken
I
advantage of.
agree. I want to see that.
What I'd say to you on energy policy, which directly impacts climate, even though you didn't ask it, I'll say it. Like, I'm for all the above. Like, I have no problem with wind. I have no problem with solar. In fact, in New Jersey, when I was governor, we were the second largest solar producing state in the country.
Well, that explains a lot.
Imagine that, New Jersey. All right, you wouldn't have guessed it. Arizona was first. You would have guessed that. We were second. Right? Guess what? In New Jersey, the most densely populated state in America, guess what type of energy produced 53% of our electricity? Nuclear.
Oh my God! Oh,
Nuclear.
He's
In
cooking.
the most densely populated state in America, we ran nuclear power
He's
safely
cooking.
and have run it safely for
Oh
55
my God.
years.
He
And
went
it is
down
a
in
clean
cringe.
energy as it applies to climate. Why aren't we doing more of that?
And he
Why are
lost
those of us
that.
who do remember the 70s still scared of 3 Mile Island? Man, that happened 50 years ago. And the technology now is so much better, we should be looking at nuclear. But until we are willing to do more nuclear, and until solar and wind is greater developed, we gotta do oil and gas. Because our lives are not going to be what we want our lives to be without it. So I think we do all of that stuff, and we continue to invest in trying to make our energies cleaner and cleaner. And we drop our fear of nuclear. It's not nuclear from 3 Mile Island. It's not nuclear from the China Syndrome, that old movie. It's not any of those things anymore. It's much safer, much cleaner, and much more effective.
I'm surprised he's pro-nuclear power.
We got to look at all those things. And I don't mind leading on that stuff as long as I don't leave our industrial base and our ability to compete too far behind.
Yeah, we should be like exporting that stuff. Just make thousands of nuclear plants.
Yes.
Hey, I'm from the great state of New Jersey as well.
All
so
right,
I get all of your jokes
What's up
from
with
Woodbridge.
all these New Jersey
And I've lived in Aiken for 22 years. I'm a physician here. The saddest part of my day is when I go home and I turn on the TV and I'm reminded that the #1 cause of death and illness in our children is that they go to school and they get shot by guns.
Oh.
My question is twofold. I struggle to understand intellectually why anyone who's not in the United States should be able to go and buy an AR and use it to kill people. The other is an issue of mental health, in that a lot of these people who are now finding it's a mental health issue, it's not always a gun control issue.
That's
so
actually
to me, that's a big problem, and I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
That's actually a good question.
A few things on the gun issue. I'll start backwards.
Did I just hear the
on the mental
freaking
health
stage break?
Part of the mental health problem in this country is the stigma that all of us attach to it. Now, if someone in this room were diagnosed tomorrow with cancer, they would not for a minute hesitate to call their friends, their family, seek their support, their prayers, their recommendations on treatment, and all of those things. If someone was diagnosed with heart disease, they'd do the same thing. If someone was diagnosed with diabetes, they'd do the same thing.
I thought the #1 cause of death is opioids.
If someone had a mental health issue, and we could name all the different ones, but any of them, including addiction,
schizophrenia,
which I believe is a mental health issue,
Eh.
we don't talk about it. You don't call your neighbors and go, hey, listen, my son is addicted to heroin. My son is a schizophrenic. I really need your help and your prayers. Do you have any suggestions on where I could get him treated? Have you ever had any experience with that?
This is actually a really good part.
From it. And the reason that we can't help
I'm not going to add any cringe for it. This is just too much, too
we
personal.
send the messages both directly and indirectly. It's not acceptable to ask. There's something wrong with you, and we don't want to be near it. My mother was an addict. She was addicted to nicotine. That was an acceptable thing to be addicted
That wasn't
to.
real. That's not really
She
the
started
same
smoking
thing.
when she was 16 years old in 1948. She had no idea that it was bad for her. In fact, there were commercials saying it was good for her. But by 1964,
Yeah,
she
I'm
knew
decreasing cringe.
that there was a problem.
This is pretty good overall.
She tried to quit. She couldn't. She tried everything. When she died of lung cancer at 71 years old, when she was diagnosed with it, none of us
Yeah, this is a really
hesitated for a
hard
minute to
question. I
tell
can't
people
really
about it.
say anything
And no one
about
came
it.
to us and said, well, Chris,
I know it's still an
Rosen's
addiction,
smoked
but
cigarettes
not
for 40 years.
not what he's
What the
talking
hell did you
about.
expect? Of course she was going to get lung cancer. Didn't she read the papers? They all said, we're praying for her. They came to visit her. They supported her right up until the time she died. On mental health, that's where we have to get to. And the only way we get to it is if we all start talking about it. And it's got to start with the president. The president's got to start talking about it. Now, on the gun issue, we know that many of the people who are involved in these mass shootings turn out to be people with serious mental health issues. And what we also hear many of the times from the stories that get told after it's over, unfortunately, is, oh yeah, he had a problem.
This is actually a really good part.
We knew he was disturbed. He stole the gun from his parents he stole the gun from his friends.
Like, this is like
Most
the
of the
only
time,
good part.
It's not even that they bought it themselves. And so the mental health piece of it is important to try to make those people understand that before they get to that point, there's a place where they can get help and feel better. The challenge in our country is we do have a Second Amendment. And the Second Amendment gives people the right to buy and bear arms. And it's not like we can treat it, in my opinion, as if it's an inferior amendment. It's like, then
Yeah, he does,
why
like,
can't we treat the
Christie
First
does have
Amendment
good
like an inferior
policies on
amendment?
him,
Or the Fourth
but
Amendment
just like,
against illegal
there's so much
search and seizure,
crap.
or the one that guarantees us a right to a trial by jury, or the presumption of innocence. They all need to be treated the same. And so that's why I think that, one, we have to treat mental health. Two, we got to enforce the laws we have before we start getting new ones.
This is like the first good question. You got a good answer
We
out
don't do
of
a
it.
good job of that. We have people out there who are regularly using guns in the commission of crimes, and we have DAs across this country that are making it a revolving door and letting them out of jail. Also, by the way, most criminals don't buy a gun legally.
Yeah.
Right? And they don't follow the law because they're criminals. The last piece I'd say about this is that this is where the Hunter Biden thing, I think, is a real problem.
Ooh, this is
Now, here he
actually good.
Addicted to drugs. And he files a permit application to buy a firearm. And it asks you directly in there, do you have an addiction to drugs? And he lies. And he gets his permit. And he gets his gun. And there's all evidence that he mishandled the gun.
surprised that
left it
he's
laying
actually
around
talking
everywhere,
about this.
left it loaded, all that stuff. And now the Justice Department is dismissing the gun charge against him. It carries a 10-year sentence. And they're dismissing it. And to me, it sends a horrible mixed signal to people. Like, Democrats are yelling they want more gun laws to make us safer, yet Democrats are saying dismiss this gun charge against Hunter Biden. And by the way, you know who sponsored the law to say
Well,
that
if he focused on this, he would actually be
you go to
formidable.
jail for 10 years?
This is the thing about Christie.
Senator
He never
Joe
stays on
Biden.
message.
And so we need to get over the hypocrisy on this issue too. Both sides, okay? There are reasonable things to do in controlling guns, and we're doing some of them now. The federal government passed some of the red flag laws and some of the other things that I think are important to interact with the mental health piece of it. But the Democrats can't continue to scream and yell that they want more gun laws, but then when one of theirs violates the gun law, well, we'll make an exception there. But for the grace of God, Hunter Biden could have killed himself or somebody else when he's smoking crack and playing with a gun. I want him to recover. I want him to have a second chance at life.
Yeah, if only he was as
I'm
good on other
pro-life.
issues.
I think every life is precious, not just the 9 months in the womb. And I think when Hunter Biden was an addicted, sad, depressed young man, that life is precious too. And we need to try to give him the tools he needs to lift himself up. So that's why the mental health stuff and all this comes so close together. Because
Yeah,
you
but
see
I'm not
these
going to add
problems
it to him because
intersecting
it's
all
overall
the
been a pretty
time.
good segment.
Mental health, addiction, violence. Let's talk about it. And if we talk about it, we have a better chance of solving it. But if we just yell at each other about it and accuse each other of being in bad faith, you hate the Constitution. No, you're a guy who loves violence and loves everybody to have an automatic weapon who's going to kill people.
The Berlin whale.
Hell, man, that problem will
He
never
did say
be
well,
resolved,
but yeah, it's pretty
ever.
funny.
The real problem that needs to be resolved is the mental health issues and the addiction issues in our country. And if we get to giving people hope and make them understand that addiction and mental health are diseases just like those other ones. And by the way, there's some smart asses who have been to my town halls and go, yeah, well, they choose to try drugs. It was their own actions.
They're not wrong,
I would
but I
suggest
understand
to
what
you,
you're
like
saying.
my mother, that human actions can contribute to every one of those diseases. Heart disease, diabetes, cancer. And so we don't punish people for that. You know, we don't go in, the guy who has a heart attack, we don't go chasing him into the steakhouse and ask him why he's ordering the, you know, the rare ribeye. Right?
I mean, you could.
I mean,
You
so
should probably
we got to end the hypocrisy
question
on
it.
it. and have a national conversation about it. If we do, I think we can make steps towards solving it. But as long as we have a Second Amendment, which I support, we can just be saying, okay, let's grab all the guns and then everything will be okay. Because by the way, we already have 350 million guns in circulation. 330
Good
million
luck
people,
getting all those
350 million
guns.
guns. And so even if we stop selling guns tomorrow, we got 350 million out there. And the bad people, they're not waiting to fill out the permit. They're just going and getting it. Yep, right over there. Nope, it's you.
Bro, look at that. Dude.
Governor,
Hold on. Is that lady
appreciate
having
your
purple hair?
generous time today. I came down from North Carolina.
Is that
I appreciate
Liz
you allowing
Cheney
the North
back there?
Carolinians to join this event
Is
as
that
well.
I didn't allow you to come here.
Too
I'm
late.
looking for South Carolina voters, but all right, I'll answer your question.
Too late. Too late. I'm really thrilled to hear us talking so much about Reagan today.
Bro.
I grew up during the Reagan era. I believe strongly that it was the Reagan doctrine and peace through strength that led us to overcome and ultimately led to the end of the Soviet Union. I believe also, and I remember President Reagan said, there is no security,
Yeah,
no
there's like a
safety
couple
in the
blue hair.
appeasement of
Look
evil.
at that.
And I think those
my
words
God,
are as
where's he
important today as they
going?
were during the Cold War. And I believe we're seeing evidence of that today in what Russia is doing to their neighbors and the atrocities that they're committing today in Ukraine. And so my question is, how do we keep our conservative national security principles, our values, at the fore? The peace through strength.
What are we
our
watching? A
refusal
Chris
to
Christie
appease
town hall.
totalitarianism. How do we keep those alive amongst the populist noise that's out there?
Oh,
Keep
shut
them
up.
alive in our platform, and especially during this election
That's
cycle.
10 core, 100%.
By, again,
Yeah, look at
telling
that.
people the
Look at
truth,
women over there
right?
that have freaking blue
I
and
mean,
purple
look,
hair. It's like, what?
As I said off the top, the war in
That's Liz
Ukraine
Cheney right there.
is a proxy
way it
war
isn't.
between the United States and China. That's what it is. The Chinese went to Russia before the war, and President Xi stood with Vladimir Putin and said, there is no limit to the friendship between China and Russia. No limit.
Yeah, so let's
Today
push
he's
them
proven
closer
it.
together by trying to start World War III.
By funding that war for Putin. Putin doesn't have the economy to fund this war. All he's got is oil that most of the world isn't buying anymore from him
Stubbs.
because of his atrocities. But China is, and they're supplying that to them. So, in this race, I heard, all this garbage that was being spewed in Iowa last Friday. I don't know if any of you watched it. The Tucker Carlson interviews or insult-views of every presidential candidate that went there, that was dumb enough to go there and subject themselves to Tucker Carlson. Look,
Their grandma's time won
how
that event.
small does he think America is?
God damn it.
He said, our cities are crumbling, yet you're spending money in Ukraine. We can do both.
No, what the f-
We've done both in the past.
Wait a
All we need
minute.
is leadership and strength to do it again. That's what we need. And
Bro. But don't you hear
And-
that?
right now, the
All right, we're back
Ukrainians
up to
have
10
been very
million
clear to
cringe.
us. They don't want us anywhere near their war. They don't want American men and women on the ground in Ukraine,
I'm
nor would I
scared.
send American men and
Yeah,
women
this is awful.
on the ground in Ukraine. But what they want is the hardware to have a fair chance to beat the Russians, the Chinese, and the Iranians,
What the-
which is who they're fighting. Right?
What?
And I heard Governor
Iranians?
DeSantis say that this was a territorial dispute. Let me tell you, everybody, what a territorial dispute is. Territorial dispute is if you go home and you have your property surveyed, and the surveyor comes back and says, oh, bad news, your fence is 8 inches on your neighbor's property. That is a territorial dispute. Rolling tanks and artillery into a free country, mercilessly killing their people and
These
taking their
people are-
land
they-
by
they should
force,
not
Governor
exist, but they
DeSantis,
do.
is not a territorial
They're like
dispute.
10% of
It is a
GOP.
war by an authoritarian dictator.
They're all
America
here.
has
The
always stood
entire
against
South
that,
Carolina
and if
GOP
I'm
is right
president, we
here.
always will.
You suck.
Governor Christie, I must admit, I'm also from North Carolina.
Oh, jeez. I'm leaving. What the hell are you people doing here? I'll come to North Carolina in March, okay?
Well, I met somebody here from South Carolina.
All right, well, all right. You're half good then.
She's registered.
Good. Thank you.
All right, I just want to say, first of all, it's an honor to be here with you. I have been a supporter of you since that 60 Minutes interview you did in 2008, 2010.
Oh my!
You're just so honest. You were talking about the deficit, and I just really appreciate that.
But he
You've
wants to
always
support
been a
war in
person that
Ukraine,
has
because
taken
of
on
the
tough
deficit.
issues, and I believe whether it's this election, sometime when you cross those pearly gates, you are going to be rewarded for sitting here and telling the truth
I
about
hope it's
Donald
earlier
Trump.
than that. I hope it's earlier than that. But I'll take it. If it comes then, if that's what I got to take, I'll take it.
No, I think, in 2016, I think my moment is just a despicable comment by Donald Trump when he stood up on stage and said John McCain was not a hero.
He wasn't.
I
And he
cannot
stood up to
imagine
it.
Donald Trump in a North Vietnamese prison. Can anybody imagine him? It's unbelievable. But thank you.
What
I
makes
sense
him a
your
war hero,
campaign is gaining
though?
momentum. This is a great
I
turnout.
feel bad
and
for
I
him that he got
just
stuck in that
blessings of God on you
situation. That
and
doesn't mean he's a
your
war hero
movement forward.
automatically.
Thank you.
People don't
By
like
the way,
him. Whatever.
By the way, for anyone who's looking for a model for an absolutely great question, that was it. That is a fantastic question.
Whoa, what the heck?
Next question. Thank you, sir. How about in the back right there?
So then you're okay with North Carolina?
A hell of a lot better now than I was 3 minutes ago.
I'm from Greenwood, South Carolina.
All right.
Finally, somebody from South Carolina.
Hope you're enjoying our self-service gas here.
You know what? All right, before you go. It is true that New Jersey is the only state left that does not allow self-serve gas. The only state. And we stand proudly. And let me tell you why. Jersey girls don't pump gas.
What is even happening?
That's exactly right. He's got a Ridgewood softball shirt on. He knows. Jersey girls don't pump gas. They just don't. I tell you, in the beginning, when I first was governor, my pollster came in to do our first kind
You
of
have a pollster that's
post-inaugural
even
poll.
willing to work with you?
And I said to him, hey, Adam, do me a favor. And I did it outside of my consultants who I knew would kill me. I said, throw in a question about self-serve gas. Like, see if, we've never had it. Maybe people are ready for it. He goes, you sure? Yeah, throw it in there. So the poll comes back, and my chief consultant, a guy named Mike Duhame, looks at me and says, where'd the self-serve gas question come from? We don't even want to talk about self-serve gas. I said, I put the question in, smart guy. What was the answer? He goes, oh, I can't wait to tell you, sir.
Bro.
He said, 80% of New Jerseyans oppose self-serve gas. I said, wow.
What?
Oof, 80%. That's pretty decisive. He goes, oh, no.
Hold on, we messed up with
92% of New Jersey women oppose self-serve gas. So, yeah, we got self-serve gas. I don't mind serving myself when I'm down here in South Carolina, but I don't see my wife stepping foot out of the car, not once, to do the self-serve gas. She's now pampered. We took her from Pennsylvania to New Jersey 35 years ago, and she's
This
completely
just keeps
pampered.
going.
All right, go ahead with your real question.
Well, in all seriousness, I do really appreciate your standing up to Donald Trump and being the only Republican that's running for president to do so.
Just ask Hutchinson.
You've really gained my respect. You've really earned my respect for that.
It just keeps going.
One thing, as someone who majored in Spanish in college,
Of course
and
you
one who
did.
has been to Cuba, I know how many hoops I had to jump through to legally travel there in 2006. And especially with the human
course you
rights
majored in something
violations that have been
useless
going
like
on in
Spanish.
China for years.
Like, learn
I've
it, that's fine, but
it's always
major in it?
disturbed me that there's an embargo against Cuba, that there's travel restrictions, that I can't go with my family on vacation. It's always seemed kind of hypocritical. And I was just wondering what you would do as president to ease relations, improve relations with Cuba, and to hopefully at least lift the travel restrictions and maybe even the embargo during your term.
Well, here's my problem with the Cubans. And by the Cubans, I mean the Cuban government.
You just lost half the Cuban vote for saying that. I'm joking, but
They're now playing footsie with the Chinese. And they're talking about permitting the Chinese to have military bases in Cuba. That is not a way to get me to lift the embargo. That is not a way to get me to feel warmer and cozier towards the Cubans. My suggestion is pretty direct to the Cubans. Show you want to have, the Cuban government, show you want to have a relationship with the United States, I bet you'll have one. And I'm willing to listen. But I am not willing to listen as long
congratulations, you
as
got a major in foreign language. What do you want,
It's
a
just not
cookie or a medal
acceptable
or a
to me.
trophy?
And so I empathize with what you're saying, especially given your experience. But I am not going to send one signal to the Chinese that that would be permissible, that that would be acceptable to the United States, to have Chinese military forces 90 miles away from the coast of Florida. And so if they want a relationship with China more than they want a relationship with us, okay. They could have both. I'm not asking to put
I am not oh jeez.
rockets
These people are all useless like Christie.
in Cuba.
This is Christie's
And
entire
the Chinese
base.
are. The Chinese are our main problem and challenge over the next 50 years. Cuba has
So why you want to
voluntarily,
push
in my
Russia
view, put
closer to
themselves
them?
in that crosshair. And until they remove themselves from it and decide they want to have a relationship with us, my answer to your question respectfully would be no. I can take one more, and then I gotta go.
Oh my
All
God,
right.
we're free.
Hi.
I'll get you to.
My name's
I just
Mary
lie
Lou.
about that.
My name's Mary Lou, and my husband and I are from New Jersey as well. So,
Oh jeez, what's up with all these New Jersey people?
The fentanyl crisis. I have a 38-year-old son who lives in Wall Township, New Jersey. This past year, three of the kids that he grew up with have passed away from fentanyl. I have a friend here in South Carolina, in Charleston, who just lost a son 6 months ago to fentanyl. I find myself calling my children and saying, and these are children 30 and 40 years old, saying, if anybody offers you any pills, don't take them. And they're like, come on, Mom. But it's a concern of mine, and what can be done about the crisis? Because I know you're the drug guy. You know,
Yeah, there's no
for
real
fentanyl.
South Carolinians.
I mean that in a
South
great way.
Carolinians.
What
They're
can
old
be done about the
carpetbaggers.
fentanyl crisis in this country and the young adults that are dying from it?
Sure. As I said earlier, I was chairman of Donald Trump's Commission on Opioids and the Drug Abuse Crisis, and it is a crisis. And it was a crisis before COVID. And we actually started to make a little bit of progress before COVID. The Chinese had slowed the sending of the precursor chemicals to make fentanyl, which they create, to Mexico. And we had increased treatment availability, and we started to see for the first time a decline in the overdose deaths.
Yeah, Christie's
in
a drug
2019.
guy. He was on
And
the
COVID came in March of
administration for like
2020.
5 seconds. related to
And
the
when
drug
it did,
stuff.
it obviously took over everything in our country. And what it did in addition to that was, in many states, close people in and increase the use of this drug. At the same time, we were having problems with China, and China started to once again ratchet up the sending of those precursor
No, it's just
chemicals
all these people are
to
Chris
Mexico
Christie
through the drug
supporters.
cartels
There's like 20
for
of
to
them.
create fentanyl. So I think a little historical context is important for when I tell you what I want to do. If I'm elected president on the first day, I will sign an executive order that sends the National Guard to the border. And their specific task will be the interdiction of fentanyl, to apprehend the drug cartels who are coming across. Second, I will ask the director of the CIA to work with the Department of Defense to come up with a plan
Christie uses
for us to take aggressive action against the drug cartels inside Mexico.
Yeah, the people in this crowd are the 6-7%
And I will say to
of
the
the
president of
GOP
Mexico,
that's going to vote for Biden.
I'm going to give you 90 days to help to clean that up.
There's like one Trump
And
guy
if
in
you don't
here.
clean it up in 90 days, then I'm going to avail myself of the tools that I have available as the President of the United States and the Commander-in-Chief of the greatest intelligence agency and the greatest army in the world, and we're going to take care of it. But one way or the other, we need to take care of these criminals who are poisoning our children.
I actually agree with that.
Third, We need to recognize that last year, 110,000 Americans died of an overdose. It is now
That's
the
just
single
sickening that we're allowing it
biggest
to
killer
happen.
of men 18 to 34.
Why are we allowing this to happen?
Drug overdose. The biggest killer of men in this country 18 to 34. So that's where my answer earlier on the gun issue applies to this as well. We need to make treatment broadly available, and especially treatment for addiction to opioids.
He's actually
And
not
just
wrong
opioids
here.
like Percocet and the rest, but heroin, which is also an opiate, and fentanyl, which is an artificial opiate. We have treatments available. We have medication-assisted treatment that is on the market now and available that is much, much better than what we had
Yeah,
back
he's
in the
only good on
60s
like
and
2
70s,
issues.
and much more effective to give people who can't get off of their addiction just through talk therapy, but need medication to help them get over that. We need to make that more broadly available. I'll give you an example of what we did in New Jersey when I was governor. We did criminal justice reform, and because of criminal justice reform, we were able to close 2 state prisons and still have crime decline.
Why would you close state
And
prisons?
the reason for that was that we stopped just locking up addicts, thinking that putting them in jail was going to cure their addiction. And then we reopened one of those jails. In fact, the jail that was on the campus of Fort Dix.
Then why did you close it?
And we made it a drug treatment prison, so that people in the state prison system who had a documented addiction problem could be transferred in their last 6 months to a year of their sentence to the drug treatment prison and get active treatment, both medical treatment and psychological
Gosh, he
treatment
looks so
before
weird.
they leave.
Like without the
And
jacket, he
then we
looks more
qualify them for
bizarre.
Medicaid before they leave.
Wait, does he
And
have
we give them their
3
first
pockets?
prescription and tell them what
Hold
drugstore
on.
accepts Medicaid.
What is going on
go and
over
get their
here?
medication-assisted
Look at
treatment
his where his
as they
hand is.
leave.
There's like 5 pockets right
And
there.
what have we seen as a result in New Jersey? What we've seen in New Jersey is that we're seeing a decline in
What?
addiction among prisoners
Why
who
is
are
there?
leaving jail.
You can clearly see there's
Because we
multiple
treated them.
pockets.
We didn't just warehouse them. But the problem is so
What
much
the
bigger
hell
than that.
is
That only
this?
takes care about that much. The prison population is that much compared to the overall population of a state like ours or the country. So we need to broaden this nationally. And we
But
need
you
to make
notice
people
he
understand
has 4 or
that
5 pockets
we
right
need to
there.
make these
I just
treatments
noticed
available.
that.
Right now, you know, if you're a doctor, you need
That
to go
kid's
and get
yawning.
special training and a special license to prescribe medication-assisted treatment. But you don't need a special license or special treatment to prescribe an opioid. So explain that to me. The thing that gets us addicted,
I don't
any
freaking
doctor
know
can
what's
give.
happening
The stuff that
anymore.
cures us, only a few doctors can give. Well, what the hell do you think is going to happen? The addiction outpaces the treatment by miles. So we need to say to folks,
Yeah,
if
Trump's
you
our
want
only
to
hope.
renew your DEA license to prescribe drugs as a doctor, take the training for medication-assisted treatment. That is part of the requirement for your medical license to prescribe. And then
Christie has
every
his hand in
doctor
his
will have the
pocket.
ability
Yeah, he has
to
had his hand in
prescribe
his
the
pocket the
antidote,
entire time.
not just the addictor.
Is he going numb?
I think if we start to do those things, along with talking about these issues and making mental health treatment more available, we can start to deal
Yeah,
with
this
the
town
addiction
hall is
issue.
maybe some want to
So it's
support.
got to
Trump
be
more.
about
I agree.
beginning to slow the supply by taking very aggressive actions at the border.
Voice crack.
And with the Chinese, who are sending these chemicals over here, because let's not mince words on
Putting
that either. That's
chemicals
an
in
act
the
of war.
water.
They are sending chemicals to Mexico that they know will be used to create a drug that will kill American citizens. That's an act of war. And it needs to be said to President Xi just
Can
that
this
way
end, like,
by a
hold on.
president of the United States who can stay awake during the meeting. One more question back here. No, this lady back here, she's been patiently waiting.
Oh my God.
Have at it.
Is that the congresswoman from like
Hi,
Massachusetts?
I'm Lisa from Clinton, and originally Long Island,
All right.
Jersey mother.
There you go.
So I
Another
know
New
about
Jersey person.
Anyway,
New
first,
York.
I can't speak with you without asking, do you have a pet? I'm a Humane Society manager.
I do
so-
not have a pet because our third child, Patrick, is allergic to everything.
Ah,
And so he has
Bruh.
prevented our family from having a pet, which his other
This
three
is
siblings
such an
remind him
obvious
of
setup.
regularly. I can promise you.
All right,
So no
I'll
pet.
let you off the hook on that.
Okay?
As an independent that leans left generally,
Bruh.
I don't have a candidate. So that's one of the reasons why I'm here. Why should you be my candidate? I know you're Mr. Let's
What
make a
is-
deal. So
what
that's
is
what
this?
I read anyway. that
It's
you'd rather
liberal.
a
I
deal than
knew
no
it. I freaking
Well,
knew it.
I'd rather an acceptable deal than no deal, yeah. I've walked away from some deals in my life, but okay.
My eighth uncle.
You want to know why me?
Yeah,
You've been here the whole time, right?
I have. I know
Like,
you're gonna tell the truth.
I swear I've been trying. I'm trying.
But
How did I know? You can just tell immediately.
as somebody that leans left,
Yeah.
why should
Leans
somebody
left.
that leans left come
Okay.
right?
So if you just lean left, you're not running left.
No, I'm not running left.
Okay.
I vote either way.
Okay.
I vote for
All right,
the
so
Bushes.
that was a
I
serious
vote for
question.
Reagan. He was
You
If
voted
you're
for the
leaning
Bushes?
You can't be happy with what's happening in Washington right now. You can't be happy with Joe Biden, who promised you that he would be in the middle, and then all of a sudden he runs
That's
to the
why I'm
left.
here.
Right. I won't do that to you. And here's the thing. I stood here tonight and talked to you about drugs,
She
guns,
voted for Bush
Social
and
Security.
Reagan, but she
talked to you
leans
about
to the left.
Donald Trump, talked to you about the war in Ukraine, China, and all those things, and
It's
gave you,
all
I think,
Reagan.
very direct
Every
answers. Some you
single
might
one
like,
of
some
these
you might not
people.
like. But I didn't mince any words with you. That's what you want from a president. You're never going to vote for a president who you're going to agree with on every single issue.
I mean,
in fact,
you
I would
could.
argue to you
Pat
that the
Buchanan.
only person that I agree with 100% of the time is me. All right? No. No, I do not agree with Mary Pat 100% of the time. We strive
think we
for a
found the
very
Williamson voter.
respectable 70. If we're agreeing 70% of the time, we're doing really well. And we've lasted 37 years married, so
I
we're
am
doing
just-
okay.
I don't know what's happening.
But what you want is someone who will tell you the truth, who knows how to get things done. And remember this as the last thing. No matter all the issues we talked about, I can guarantee you
Yeah, get
that
Pat
in my
Buchanan
first
here.
year as president, something will happen that we didn't talk about tonight. Something will happen that we couldn't have anticipated. Something will happen inside this country or outside
That
this
lady's
country
on
that
something,
we will
that's
not have
true.
even thought about.
Please end this.
Then what matters the most? Because you won't know necessarily what I'm going to do.
Yeah, what is
The
that?
character of the person who's sitting behind that desk. That's what matters the most.
Ask the lady in purple. Oh my God, what's going on with that lady? She's going like skits over there.
And you may turn to your husband, your friends, your neighbors when I'm going to give that speech on that crisis. And they're going to say, well, hell,
This
you
is
were there
late night
with them
TV.
in
Yeah,
Columbia.
late night TV for like
in
5 a.m. or 5 p.m.
23. What do you think he's going to do? And I hope what your answer is I don't know, but I trust him to make the right
That's a
decision.
man.
And if
I
that's
can't
your
tell.
answer, then you voted for the right person. And so that's the kind of president that I want to be. And that's the kind of president I
That's a
promise you I will
man.
be. Because that's the kind of governor I was. You know, not everybody agreed with me
Average
in New
northern
Jersey. In
transplant to
fact,
South Carolina.
I got reelected in 2013 in a state that at that time had 750,000 more Democrats than Republicans. And I got 61% of the vote.
Yeah, because the turnout was like
I got
5%.
51% of the Hispanic vote. I got 25% of the African American vote. I ran against the female candidate, and I got 57% of the female vote. And I was a pro-life governor in a state that 70% believes in pro-choice. They voted for me not because they
We're at
always agree
30
with
million.
me,
Yeah, I mean,
but because they trusted that I would do the big thing.
this is
I
literally
would
the
fight
worst
for
thing I've
them.
ever seen.
And that's it. And I think that's why. And I swear I didn't set it up for her to give me my summation. But you did.
End this.
I'm not going to say it a whole lot longer than that. In the end, everybody, don't make this race about the polls. Let's start with that. Okay? Polls
6%
are worth
approval.
whatever they're worth the day they come out, And the day after they come
He
out,
said
they're
big.
worth less. And every day after that, they're worth less. But I'm also a realist. I know I'm an underdog in this race. I know I am. But let me also tell you something. 8 years ago, as I said before, at this time, everybody thought Jeb Bush was going to be the Republican nominee.
Oh, God, he's
or
bringing
maybe
this
Scott
up.
Walker. Scott Walker dropped out of the race in September.
Because he collapsed.
Before anybody could vote for him. And Jeb Bush didn't get one delegate.
Yeah, he did.
In 2007, on the Democratic side, at this point, Hillary Clinton was 34 points ahead of Barack Obama.
But he wasn't. She
We're
wasn't
not that
above
into it.
50.
Here's what I think we
wasn't
should all
above
be able
50.
to agree on. We suck at predicting this stuff. And we also know that polls are regularly wrong. There was not one poll that showed Donald Trump beating Hillary Clinton until election night 2016.
He's actually cooking.
And you want to know why? In part, we all lie to them. We don't trust them. They don't call the right people.
Jeb
How many
was at
times
like
we have to see
12.
the polls being wrong?
That's like the highest
For
he
us
was
to
ever
finally
at.
go like, okay, maybe they don't matter so much. Here's what I'd suggest you do. Go to all of these.
No!
For all the candidates.
There's more of these.
See if they'll all stand up here for 2 hours and take your questions. See if they won't make you write them out beforehand so their staff can see which ones they like to answer. See if they'll actually call on anybody randomly and let you ask whatever you want to ask and actually answer
so
your question
full of it.
rather than give their stump speech in response to your question. And then when you do all that, decide in your own mind, who do I want to be president? Who do I think is the best person to be president?
Not you.
And then work to make that person president. See, the difference in our country,
I thought it
more
was
than
supposed
any
to
other
end
country in the
like
world, is
20
you can
minutes
do
ago.
that. You can make the person president you want to be president. If you work hard enough to do it,
He just keeps going.
and gather others around you to do it. You can.
He just keeps speaking.
We've had very unlikely presidents. Now, I love history.
Don't.
And I am accused at times by my staff of bringing up arcane, historic things to make a point that I spend too long talking about.
Yeah, you do.
And that people generally get bored with. So I'm not going to do that tonight, except for this one thing. Don't worry about what the polls say. Don't worry about who
Shut
the pundits
up,
say are going to win.
please.
Don't worry about who reporters say are going to win. Decide who you want to win. And if you want an example of it in history, I suggest to you the election of 1880. My wife is like, oh no.
Oh, God,
He's going
what's-
to talk about James Garfield. Yes. I don't know if any of you really know James Garfield.
This election's
but
closer to
James
19
Garfield went to the
1892.
Republican convention in 1880 as a senator from Ohio, and he was there to place in nomination the name of Senator Sherman from Ohio to be president. That was his job. He did it. He went up there and he did it.
It will never end.
They went through
This is a mockery of us.
58 ballots. It makes Kevin McCarthy look like he was picked as chairman overnight as speaker, right? 58 ballots. And then on the 59th ballot, someone voted for Garfield. And then more people and more people.
He brings up
in that convention
1880.
voted for Garfield. And when they were asking those people why, they said, because we listened to him, he's the best guy. Garfield stood up and tried to have his name withdrawn. He stood up in the convention and said,
He was humble,
I
unlike
don't
you."
know. I don't want it. And they voted for him anyway.
Bruh.
And he beat Ulysses S. Grant.
No, he didn't.
For the nomination for president.
No, wait, hold on.
And then
What?
was elected president.
I thought you were
in
going to say he beat up for
1880.
president.
Because the people in that room and
1880 election.
you
He did
in
not
South
beat
Carolina
for.
are the people in that room in Chicago in 1880.
I know Grant tried to get it.
We don't
I
have
thought he
those
was about to
closed
say for
rooms
the.
anymore.
He beat him in the
Smoke-filled
election.
rooms where people get in there and the insiders pick who the guy for president is going to be. You do it. You're the people in that room.
He did
You
beat
get
Grant
to decide
for the
who the
convention.
pollsters say you should pick. but
I'm
who
sorry, I
you
had a
are.
voice crack there.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm going to keep coming back. And that's why I'm going to work for every vote I can get here in South Carolina. Tonight is the beginning of that. We've just started. We're from New Jersey. We're like gum on the bottom of your shoe. We don't go away. I want to be your
Please go
president.
away.
I thank you for your
He meant the
questions and
primary.
for all of the attention you paid to me tonight. And I'll be
Too
back
much
again.
attention
I
was
thank
had.
you for coming. Take care.
Oh my God, it's over. We're free. I gotta bring something up because, hold on, I got the, and we got a super chat real quick. Hold on. Riley the Mini Deutschen for 5. You and some other pundits keep saying that many liberal Texans are moving to Colorado. How do you know when Texas doesn't keep track of party registration? Just look at migration data. A bunch of, like, people from Austin are moving to Colorado. How do you think they're going to lead? But I got to show you guys something. Look at this. This is the 1880 convention. Garfield got a vote second. In the second ballot, he got a vote. Not 50th. It didn't even make it past 40. Remember how he said, oh, Garfield he didn't get a single vote. He's so full of it. Hold on, let's read this real quick. Because I'm intrigued. I'm very much intrigued by this. Yeah, but it's like the 37th round, that's when he got it, not 40th or 50th. And of course, Chester Arthur got the nomination real quick. Grant was leading the first 34 ballots. First 35, actually. I know he was irrelevant, but it's like, come on. Bro literally gave us history lessons, only to not get the history right. This guy should be the cast out of the Republican Party. Yeah, it's just awful. So unless anybody got any more super chats, any more questions, I'm going to head out because what was left of my brain cells may have been gone. I think we broke a record. We may have broken the record for the most cringe. Because he talks about we need to look at the future. But then he brings up freaking 1776. Godsmack AR-69 for 5. Remember that time Trump and Christie were on stage after Nabisco moved jobs to Mexico and Trump looked over and said, no more Oreos for Chris. Good times. Yeah, I mean, Trump is just a Chad. I just hate the fact that he's gonna do 20 more of these, isn't he? There's gonna be 20 more of this crap. But the worst part was the crowd. I am baffled. I am horrified that that's like all of his voters. But you notice none of them are from South Carolina. Virtually all of them were from Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, New Jersey. Just awful. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this live stream, smash the like button down below. Subscribe. Share with your friends. Hit that little bell. Follow the social media accounts in the description down below. And of course, join the channel today. I am stunned. I am bamboozled. I need to... I gotta pretend I didn't watch this. This is just awful. Wait, rap, will Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan be more conservative in 30 years? I don't know. It's to be determined. Have a great night, rap. Yeah. Hope every one of you enjoyed me suffering. Thanks for all the super chats. Thanks for all the support. Smash the like button, share, all that stuff. Why do these Republicans exist? Why? Why do you exist? You don't have any reason to. Move. And you notice you hear every one of them. I voted for Reagan, or I had a Reagan poster, but I voted for Biden in 2020. That's the entire crowd. There's one supposedly Trump supporter. Let's see. Chestnut 2024. Alright. We'll see you guys in the next video or live stream. Godspeed.